Mecha battle starting from Gundam. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 420, Catering to his interests. The matter of DSSD came to an end. Except for the unfinished, glorious transmitter system, everything they wanted was obtained, and they even received a generous gift from the Atlantic Federation. After the Second Fleet arrived and took away DSSD, Nanobroku, Swin and Emilian, Yang Hui continued his journey and led his people to plant under the escort of the fleet. This is the Zaft, New Boyat's, fortress garrison. The fleet ahead is about to enter our territory. Please stop advancing immediately, otherwise we will regard it as a provocation to plant and launch an attack. I repeat, please stop advancing immediately, otherwise we will regard it as a provocation to plant and launch an attack. When approaching the plant border, Yang Hui and others received a warm welcome. It's worthy of plant. In such a short period of time, they helped us rebuild Heliopolis, and rebuilt a brand new Boyat's fortress. Yang Hui exclaimed. In response, Aslan and crew smiled and did not respond. They knew the capabilities of plant. If it were not for the turmoil in plant due to the handover of Boyat's fortress to Orb, the efficiency could be raised further. When they only knew about Heliopolis, and New Boyat's fortress, and Lakis had gone to Earth, it meant that Sigil Klein should have handed over the position of Speaker of the Supreme Council. As expected, it should be the old fox who took over. If it was him, in addition to the two projects on the surface, there should be another fortress, but I don't know if it has been built. After sighing, Yang Hui came to the captain's room. The captain had informed the garrison of New Boyat's fortress of their identities and the purpose of this trip. In order not to cause conflict, the Orb fleet also stopped outside the border of plant as the other party said, waiting for the other party's confirmation. 5 minutes later, the other party sent a new communication. We have confirmed with our country. We welcome your arrival, but in order not to cause panic among the people, your fleet is not allowed to enter. We will escort the VIP's shuttle to the capital, Apre. Rejected. Yang Hui personally took over the communication and made a request to the welcoming Zaft. We must leave 2 warships to escort me to the capital, Apre. You can convey my request to the Supreme Council for decision. Understood. Even though the war was over, Yang Hui's reputation with Zaft did not diminish. The new recruits recruited after the war might not have such strong feelings, but the veterans who survived the Second Battle of Yakanduwa would be terrified when they heard Yang Hui's voice, so no one dared to ignore his request. Soon, the news was transmitted back to the country, and the Supreme Council immediately held an emergency meeting. This request is too much? How can warships of other countries enter our territory at will? They did not enter at will. According to the news from the New Boyat's fortress, the Orb fleet immediately stopped advancing after receiving the warning from the garrison and did not enter our territory. That won't work either. Now all countries are in a state of armistice and there will be no fighting. It is enough for our army to escort Lord Yang Hui into the country. If we allow the Orb warships to enter, wouldn't it show that our army is incompetent? But Lord Yang Hui of Orb has sent a request. Given his character, since he has said so, we are not allowed to refuse. You should all know this. And Lord Yang Hui will not leave Orb unless there is something to do. This is Lord Yang Hui's first trip after the peace talks, and the first destination of his visit is our country. Shouldn't it arouse our attention? Even so, we can't compromise with him again, otherwise the prestige of the Supreme Council among the people will be reduced again. Agree to him. Speaker. The representatives argued endlessly, and seeing that they could not reach a consensus, Gilbert Durandal, who was sitting in the speaker's seat, spoke up and made a decision. As Representative Jessic said, Mr. Yang Hui chose our country for his first trip after the peace talks. This is a sign of respect and recognition for our country, and should be taken seriously by us. If we reject Mr. Yang Hui's request and cause him to leave, how will the international community view us? Will they use the incident of the last war to discredit plant? If Mr. Yang Hui encounters any accident under the protection of our army, can plant afford the consequences? Gilbert Durandal is indeed a master at controlling people's hearts. With just a few words, he made the arguing representatives quiet down and unable to refute his speech. Moreover, Gilbert Durandal's speech really made them unable to refute. As the highest leader of Orb, one of the strongest forces in the world, Yang Hui's every trip would attract the attention of various forces. The intelligence forces and staff departments of all forces have conducted in-depth analysis of Yang Hui and have recognized his style of work. He is well-targeted, keeps his word, is far-sighted, is strong and domineering, and every move must have meaning. He would never leave the fast-growing orb without any need. After all, the current orb depends on him alone. If Yang Hui has any accident, orb's rise will be aborted. He is safe in orb, and no one dares to attack him. Once he leaves orb, there will be many people in various forces who wish him dead and will definitely assassinate him. So Yang Hui wants to visit plant regardless of his own danger. There must be something very important. If he turns around and leaves because of rejecting Yang Hui's small request, not only will the content of the visit be unknown, but plant will also become a laughingstock in the world. Similarly, some people with ulterior motives will use excuses such as Zaft's strategic weapons were destroyed by Yang Hui in the last war, and the international visit failed because of his disgust for Yang Hui. Plant refuses to have diplomacy with orb because of the legacy of the war, and Plant's leaders are all narrow-minded to discredit Plant. Finally, there is the issue of Yang Hui's personal safety. It is very likely that Yang Hui will be attacked. If it is only Zaft escorting him, if an accident occurs, Zaft will bear all the responsibilities. If it is agreed that 2 orb warships will escort him, even if an accident occurs, orb can share part of the responsibility. But, the prestige of the Supreme Council among the people. This is easy to handle. In response to the concerns of the representatives, Durandal said that it can be easily solved. Hold a press conference immediately to inform the entire nation that the Supreme Head of Orb, His Excellency Yang Hui, is visiting Plant in a friendly manner. Emphasize that this is His Excellency Yang Hui's first international visit to another country. State the benefits and avoid the disadvantages. You are worthy of being the speaker. This is a good idea. In this way, the people should not say anything. Not only will they not have any opinions about us, they will even recognize the status of the Supreme Council more and enhance the people's sense of honor for Plant. The current Supreme Council is not the same as it used to be. After Durandal came to power, he quickly took control of the entire Supreme Council. He adhered to Siegel Klein's peace strategy and also integrated Patrick Serra's radical policy, implementing the concept of wine for guests and swords for enemies. After taking office, he pardoned several radical members who were willing to accept his ideas and maintain peace and allowed them to return to the Supreme Council. So far, he has gained the support of both moderates and radicals, and the entire Supreme Council is almost his one-man show. Then tell the garrison of the New Boyas fortress to allow the 2 warships of the Orb delegation to escort the VIPs to enter, and also let them send enough people to protect the VIPs. After waiting for about 10 minutes, Yang Hui received a reply from Plant, agreeing to Yang Hui's request. Dyson and Chrisen escort the shuttle to the Plant capital of Apre, and the other warships are on standby. The order was passed on, and the 2 ZC-class frigates in the front protected the shuttle in the middle and would go to Apre with his aft escort fleet. I'm about to see your old friend, are you looking forward to it? In the lounge, only Yang Hui and Cruz were there, while Aslan and Canid Pars were guarding outside the door, so Cruz didn't have to play the role of Vital anymore, and even took off his mask for the first time in a long time to show his true face. Of course, he should think I'm dead, right? Cruz's mouth curled up. Yang Hui knew that Cruz was not looking forward to meeting his old friend after a long time, but to expecting his old friend to show a look of seeing a ghost when he saw him. What a bad taste. It's really his misfortune to have a friend like you. It seems that you can make mistakes, Yang Hui, and having a friend like me is the luck of his life. Cruz smiled evilly and looked at Yang Hui intently. Well, it's really my honor to receive such a high evaluation from you. Yang Hui spread his hands. He knew what Cruz meant, but he also accepted his evaluation with pleasure. In this world, the only person who could be valued so much by Cruz, a man who deceived the whole world, was Yang Hui, right? He must have his own plan. Have you thought about what to use to impress him? Cruz asked Yang Hui. He knew his old friend Delandal very well. He and Yang Hui were the same kind of people. Once they decided on their goals, they would not give up easily. It was difficult for their personal ideas to be shaken. What about the chances of having children? Yang Hui raised his lips. What? Ha ha ha. Hearing Yang Hui's answer, Cruz was stunned at first, and then he covered his face and laughed. He had calculated and calculated, but he really didn't think of this point. What? I don't think he can refuse this, right? Of course he can't refuse. If it weren't for Talia and me, he would still be a genetic researcher at the institute. You are hitting him right in the face. Watch your wording. This is called giving someone something to like. But I've learned about that treatment chamber that doesn't belong to this world, and it doesn't seem to have this function, right? It doesn't, but that doesn't mean it won't have it in the future. Really? It's really so interesting. My choice was indeed right. Chapter 421 Durandal's Little Plan. Arriving at the capital of Planned, Apris, as soon as he got off the shuttle, he saw Durandal coming in person with several representatives of the Supreme Council to greet him. Welcome, Mr. Yang Hui. It's my honor to have Speaker Durandal come to greet me personally. No, it should be the honor of Planned that Mr. Yang Hui personally visits Planned. After saying that, Durandal looked at Cruz, who was following behind Yang Hui. Although he couldn't see his face at all, he felt very familiar with him. Then he looked at Aslan again, keeping a gentle smile. Welcome home, Aslan Zala. Hearing this, Aslan was stunned for a moment, because of the word home. Plant used to be his home, and it was the existence he was determined to fight for all his life, but now, his home is no longer in Planned. His father died, he rebelled, and even his mother was taken to Orb. Now he runs an orphanage with Kira's mother, Yanchin Yamato, to adopt orphans who lost their parents in the war. Nice to meet you, Speaker Durandal. This was also because Yang Hui had done a lot of work on Aslan in advance, otherwise this one sentence might have directly shaken Aslan like in the original plot. Seeing Aslan answering him calmly, Durandal couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. With his research on Aslan, his words should have had an impact on Aslan, but the other party was not affected at all, which surprised him a little. However, Durandal was soon relieved. With someone like Yang Hui, it was no big deal to help Aslan stabilize his mentality in advance. Moreover, he had prepared a backup plan. Everyone has come from afar, and you must be tired. I have arranged accommodation for you. Please follow me. Thank you. From the port to the interior of Apre, I don't know if it was arranged in advance by the Supreme Council. Although the road was unobstructed, the sidewalks were surrounded by the citizens of Planned, holding up banners and wooden signs to welcome their arrival. Seeing the enthusiasm, if the guards hadn't stopped them tightly, I'm afraid they would have rushed onto the road. This was not arranged by us, but organized by the people themselves. Without waiting for Yang Hui and others to ask questions, Durandal took the lead in explaining. It was indeed not organized by the Supreme Council, but the press conference they held before arriving exaggerated Yang Hui's friendly visit, portraying Yang Hui as a great hero who ended the war, and what benefits his arrival would bring to Planned, etc. This can be regarded as a gift to Yang Hui on their first meeting. Durandal is not naive enough to think that such a gesture of goodwill can make someone like Yang Hui relax his vigilance. When they came to the row of residences, Yang Hui and Cruz were stunned for a moment, and Aslan's expression became complicated. If I remember correctly, this should be the mansion of Sarah's family, right? That's right, the residence arranged by Plant for them was the mansion of Sarah's family, which was Aslan's former home. It should be the former Sarah family. Durandal added, before the former speaker's wife left Plant, she sold this mansion, but it was not easy to sell due to the former speaker's reasons. Considering its specifications and luxury, it was finally bought by the Supreme Council and used as a resting place for receiving distinguished guests. I see, you are thoughtful, Mr. Speaker Durandal. I am glad that you are satisfied. Please have a good rest. We have organized a welcome banquet tonight. Please be sure to come. No problem, Mr. Speaker. Durandal left with his leadership team. The four of them entered the former Sarah family's mansion under the guidance of the waiter. Yang Hui and Cruz had also been here as guests before. It was said that it had been renovated, but they didn't find any difference, especially Aslan, who seemed to have really returned home. After a round and assigned rooms to each of them, Yang Hui asked all the waiters around to withdraw. The bedrooms, living rooms, and study rooms of the four people were all in the same area. Yang Hui replaced all the Plant waiters in this area with his own people. Without their permission, no one could approach this area. Then, haha, you really have a heart, Durandal. Yang Hui sat on the sofa and sneered, Aslan, how do you feel about coming back here again? I don't know. Aslan smiled bitterly and shook his head. It would be a lie to say that there was no fluctuation at all. Haha, old fox. Yang Hui smiled, but did not take it seriously. He was sure that this residence was definitely not arranged in advance, but was arranged immediately after seeing Aslan, in order to shake Aslan's heart and abduct him back to planned. As a hero of the last war, his own strength is unquestionable. At the same time, he can also boost the morale of the army and attract a group of young people who yearn for heroes to join the army. But Yang Hui is not Kigali, and he will not do nothing and watch Aslan being abducted, so Durandal's wishful thinking can only fall through. At the same time, Yang Hui also saw Durandal's status within planned. Taking the temporary change of residence as an example, it can still be arranged perfectly, and he has a strong control, otherwise it would be impossible to arrange everything in such a short time. But it's not like he has complete control. There are still some smart aleck people under his command. And these. As he said this, looking at the pile of eavesdropping devices and micro cameras on the table, Yang Hui shook his head and laughed. Are we underestimated like this? It doesn't seem like his work. Cruz judged concisely. It should be his subordinates who took the initiative. It's normal for some people to be disobedient or be smart in order to get promoted, but this just happened to be a bargain for us. Excuse. Yes, now I am more confident. Aslan, Kennard, go guard outside the door. Tisk. Okay. Kennard Pars looked reluctant, but still obeyed obediently and left the room with Aslan, leaving Yang Hui and Cruz to talk alone. He may have noticed something. Cruz said to Yang Hui. Old friends have a tacit understanding? Do you and him have such a tacit understanding? It was just a joke. Although the new humans in this world are adjusters, they are different from NTs and transformers. They are not mentally enhanced, but mental induction does exist. For example, Mew and Cruz, the cheap father and son, can sense each other as long as they are close. How can this be explained? Can't you do it? It's your special state. Cruz asked with a smile. That's different. During this period of time, Cruz has been conscientious. While completing his work very well, he can also assist Yang Hui and others to complete other tasks. Gradually, Wang and others began to accept and recognize him. Naturally, some secrets can be let him know little by little, such as Yang Hui's transformer state. Transformers are one of the new humans with specialized mental power. Without the assistance of GN particles, I rarely take the initiative to explore other people's brain quantum waves. The consumption is too high. Is that so? It's exploration, not mutual induction. Cruz asked. I guess so, but for ordinary people it is just a detection. If someone uses brain quantum waves at the same time, it is induction. I see. Send it out first, and then I will ask BJ to adjust the order. Sorry, everyone, my mind is a little confused recently. Chapter 422 Welcome Banquet. That night, Yang Hui and his party of 4 changed into formal attire and went to the scene to welcome Yang Hui under the arrangement of planned. Why do I have to attend such a boring banquet? Canid Pars, who had been pulling his collar, had been complaining since he got on the car. You are a bodyguard, you have to go out with me. Tisk, isn't he still here? The hero of the war must be better than me, right? Canid Pars was talking about Aslan. Aslan's status in the team was the same as his, both of them were bodyguards. In driving Ms, he is indeed better than you, and in gunfighting, he is also better than you. Yang Hui said jokingly. Aslan was a top student who graduated from the Zaft Military Academy. He was a red-shirted student upon graduation, which means he was an elite candidate. This elite refers not only to Ms driving skills, but also his individual combat capabilities. Of course, not all red-clothed people are like this. It can only be said that the class of Aslan and his classmates was indeed full of talents. Isaac, Diego, and Nicole are not to be mentioned. There are also people like Rusty and Miguel who were killed. They are all around elites. It can only be said that they were not very lucky. There were only 5 red-clothed people in that class. Miguel ranked 6th, so when he appeared, he was just an ordinary green-clothed person. Then there was Rusty. This one was even more unlucky. He died before he could achieve his goal. He was shot dead when he was trying to snatch the strike Gundam. To be honest, Yang Hui felt that the red-clothed people who came after him were very watery. Among all the red-clothed people now, Yang Hui felt that the only 2 people who were not bad were Imperium, Shai Hanifs and Hino Wistinflas who admired Isaac. As for the others, it can only be said that each class is worse than the previous one, especially the class of Katori, which was simply unbearable to watch. What did you say? Although Canid Pars used the excuse that he couldn't beat Aslan, It was just an excuse. He was competitive and didn't think he was worse than anyone else. Now that Yang Hui said that they were both inferior to Aslan, it would be strange if he could tolerate it. Aslan's driving skills are comparable to Kira's, and his individual combat ability is at the level of a soldier king. You can have a duel when you have time. Duel. Aslan and Zala. I refuse. Yang Hui, can you please stop causing trouble for me? Aslan covered his face in depression. He had no interest in duels or anything like that. His personality liked a peaceful and stable life, which was completely opposite to Kanadpar's. No. You must duel with me. If I win, I can challenge Kira Yamato. I think Kira will refuse too. Then I will force you to agree. Shut up. Seeing that Kanadpar's was getting more and more excited, Cruz's hoarse voice sounded, and Kanadpar's immediately became obedient. Although he still stared at Aslan with burning eyes, he did not dare to speak, just like a son who was stared at by an old father, and was afraid that the divine weapon on his waist would be unsheathed. Yang Hui stared at Cruz blankly, unable to ask directly, but his eyes were asking him, when did you adopt a son? Ahem. We're here. Temporarily suppressing doubts, business was more important. The car slowly stopped and opened the door. There was a long red carpet on the stairs. There were reporters all around. Seeing Yang Hui and others get off the car, flashlights flashed one after another. Whether it was Aslan, Kanadpar's, Yang Hui, or Cruz, they were wondering if they had come to the wrong place. They were sure that this was not a welcome for Yang Hui by politicians, but an event like a film festival. Welcome, Mr. Yang Hui. It's a great honor. The people who greeted him came and called Yang Hui's name, which meant that he had come to the right place, but... Durandal, you are so good. If I don't scare him to death later, I will beat him to death. Yang Hui and Cruz both decided silently in their hearts that if they had the chance, they must teach Durandal a profound lesson. The entrance of the highest leader of a country turned into a star walking on the red carpet. What the hell? However, although they were angry in their hearts, they still had to make a friendly expression and wave to the reporters on the surface. After all, it was a friendly visit. If Yang Hui had a bitter and vengeful expression on his face, when the report was published, people would think he was here to seek revenge. Ahem, it was serious, but it would have a bad international impact. In order not to be exposed to the flashlights again, the group of people tacitly quickened their pace and quickly walked into the venue. Once they entered the venue, there were no reporters. It was just a high-level banquet. Except for the 4 guests from Orb, the others were high-ranking officials, wealthy businessmen, and political members of Plant. Welcome, Mr. Yang Hui, Mr. Vital. Seeing Yang Hui and the other 4 people coming, Durandal came forward to greet them cordially. Because of his welcome, the others stopped talking and looked at Yang Hui. Although they had learned about Yang Hui from various channels such as News and Intelligence, many people found it incredible when they saw Yang Hui for the first time. Such a young natural person not only has the best personal combat power in the world, but can also become the highest leader of a country, manage a country in an orderly manner, and quickly develop into one of the world's top powers. Especially some young ladies who follow their parents to attend the meeting. They thought Yang Hui was so powerful and killed so many people on the battlefield. He must be a terrible person, but they didn't expect him to be so handsome, elegant and gentle. Their eyes lit up. Sorry for the wait. No, you are guests. As the host, I naturally have to treat you well. Thank you. After a simple greeting, Durandal took Yang Hui to the center of Yang Hui, formally introduced Yang Hui to everyone, and announced the start of the banquet. As the protagonists of the banquet, Yang Hui and others naturally could not immediately find Durandal to talk privately. The first thing they had to deal with was the political, business and military officials who kept looking for him. The senior military officials approached him to try to get some information about the Orb army. The political officials naturally asked Yang Hui about the purpose of his visit. The businessmen hoped to reach some cooperation with Orb. In response, Yang Hui also showed his attitude, complimenting each other, shirking each other, and not revealing any information. The military officials and political officials returned disappointed and without success. As for the cooperation of the businessmen, Yang Hui was naturally willing. As long as it was a fair deal and could bring benefits to Orb, he would accept it. Orb did have sufficient resources now, but it couldn't just sit back and eat up all the resources, right? In addition to Yang Hui, Aslan and Kanadpar's became the targets of the young ladies, especially Aslan. He was the son of the former speaker. Although he was in decline, he was still from a noble family. Moreover, Aslan was indeed handsome and was also a hero who ended the war. This halo was full of temptation to the young ladies who were ignorant of the world. Canard Pars had carefully groomed himself today. His originally messy long hair was neatly combed into a single ponytail. He put on a formal dress and looked like a handsome man. However, whenever someone approached him, he would glare back at them, so he was still relatively free. As for Cruz, who was wearing a mask, because he did not show his true face and always used a concise way of speaking, everyone who went to find him was turned away. He also leaned against the wall alone, watching the various aspects of life at the banquet. However, there was one person who was not discouraged by Cruz's behavior and took the initiative to find him. "Sir Vital, this is a rare opportunity. Why don't you take off your mask and enjoy the food and wine?" No need. Cruz saw Durandal handing the wine glass to him, and he turned his mouth and refused directly. "That's really a pity." Durandal seemed to have given up, but he turned around and put the 2 glasses of wine in his hands back on the waiter's tray, and then continued to say to Cruz, "It's really strange to say, Sir Vital, I haven't seen your true face, but it feels like we have known each other for a long time, don't you say? Isn't it strange?" Chapter 423, No Harm in Being Careful. Really? Actually, I feel the same way. There was no one around, only Durandal was around. In order to get a little revenge on him, Cruz decided to temporarily switch back to his original way of speaking. Although it was still a hoarse electronic voice, he believed that even if Durandal could not be sure, he could guess. Sure enough, after these words came out, Durandal's face changed drastically, and he almost lost his grip on the wine glass and it broke into pieces. Expression. Excuse me, Mr. Vital, if there is a chance, I hope to talk to you alone. If there is a chance. Cruz resumed his false way of speaking. His goal had been achieved. It was a small revenge on Durandal. At the same time, it also made him mentally prepared so that he would not appear too abrupt when talking privately later. After getting the answer he wanted, Durandal did not continue to stay with Cruz. He knew Cruz. Since the other party chose to hide his identity, he should not continue to stay with him. This would only increase the chance of Cruz being exposed. Other questions, such as why Cruz is still alive and didn't go back to find him but chose to assist Yang Hui, and why he didn't ask him for medicine to suppress his illness. These questions will probably be answered in the private meeting later. After Durandal left, Yang Hui happened to get rid of the entanglement of others and came to Cruz's side. Although Yang Hui had been dealing with others, he had always paid some attention to Durandal. He guessed that Durandal would test Cruz's identity, but he didn't expect Cruz to take the initiative to expose it because of his bad taste. However, Durandal's expression just now was still very good, which was a small revenge. Does he know? Not confirmed. Have you made an appointment? No. Yang Hui nodded, holding the wine glass and walked towards Durandal. After he finished communicating with other guests, he went up to clink glasses with him. It seems that Lord Yang Hui has finally gotten away. The guests are indeed a little too enthusiastic. I hope this is not arranged by the speaker. Of course not. Lord Yang Hui has achieved so much at a young age. Naturally, he has enough charm to attract the attention of others. I shamelessly accept your compliment, Mr. Speaker. As expected of Lord Yang Hui, you are indeed different. Isn't it the same for Mr. Speaker? If we were the same as everyone else, could we still have our current achievements? Of course not. After the banquet, I would like to invite Lord Yang Hui to talk alone. Is it possible? I'm afraid I'm not the person you want to find, Mr. Speaker. Same. Understood. The 2 top leaders talked alone, and other people dared not get close. The higher the position, the better they knew a truth. There are some things they should know, but they should not know things they shouldn't know. About an hour later, the guests slowly dispersed, and Yang Hui and his 4 companions also left the banquet hall. After getting in the car, Aslan keenly discovered that the route ahead was not the route back to their residence. He immediately put his hand into his arms, grasped the handle of the gun, and whispered to Yang Hui, "This road is wrong." "Well, stop the car." Yang Hui and Cruz guessed that this was arranged by Durandal, and he couldn't wait to meet with him, but it's better to be careful. What if it was not arranged by Durandal, but an assassination against them, and they were unprepared? It would be ridiculous and dangerous. According to Yang Hui's instructions, The driver parked the car steadily on the side of the road and asked Yang Hui, "Excuse me, Mr. Yang Hui. The route is wrong. This is arranged by the speaker." Aslan. As soon as the voice fell, Aslan drew his gun and put it against the driver's forehead, and he would shoot immediately if he made any unusual movements. Canid, check the vehicle. Tisk, what a hassle. Cursing, but honest with his body, Canid Pars took out an instrument from his arms and began to scan the vehicle to see if there were any explosives or anything like that. Safe. Hearing this, Cruz nodded, took out his pad, hacked into the car's computer, and began to check the entire vehicle. After finding that everything was correct, he took over the control of the car. "Where did Durandal ask you to take us?" Yang Hui asked the driver. "Central area, Speaker's mansion, turn right at the third intersection of Route 2, and enter from the back door." The driver was raising his hands at this time, and spoke out the destination and route like a string of cannonballs. "Can you find his information?" Yang Hui asked Cruz. "Here, and it's true." Yang Hui took Cruz's pad and saw that this driver had been Durandal's exclusive driver half a year ago. His identity information was verified correctly, and all his recent whereabouts and communication records were also correct. Then the route the driver said did lead to the back door of Durandal's mansion. "Well, I may have to put up with you for a while." "What?" Bang! The driver had a bad premonition in his heart, but just as it arose, he felt a pain in the back and lost consciousness. Retracting his hand knife, Aslan and Canid Pars supported the driver and threw him into the trunk. Aslan sat in the driver's seat, and Canid Pars sat in the co-pilot's seat, and made sure to draw his gun and shoot at the first opportunity. Get in the car and detonate. You have to give the other party a little trust, otherwise he won't be able to get off the stage when the car is searched in front of so many reporters. Yang Hui smiled and acted indifferent. You won't gamble your life with someone who is not your companion. Well, it's just a pretense. Dillinger personally arranged the car and driver for us. If something went wrong, he wouldn't be alive until now. Am I right, Mr. Speaker? As he spoke, Yang Hui's voice became playful, and then the three people noticed that Yang Hui was holding a camera with a built-in eavesdropping function in his hand. This is a boring test. As he spoke, Yang Hui crushed the camera with his fingers. Then what shall we do now? Go back and sleep? Not going. If he asks me to go, I will go. He is not so shameless. Tisk tisk. Cruz figured everything out. The car and the driver were indeed arranged by Durandal, and he did take them to his home for a secret meeting, but he played a little trick in the process. Durandal also took the opportunity to test Yang Hui's vigilance and trust. If Yang Hui went to his home without any reaction, then Durandal could judge that because of his presence, Yang Hui trusted him and was not wary of him. In this way, he can better control the initiative in the next conversation. If he does not trust him, he can also understand Yang Hui's attitude in advance and adopt the corresponding attitude and measures to deal with Yang Hui. In this little game, Durandal lost, and was completely defeated, because Yang Hui did not follow Durandal's script and directly chose to overturn the table. Anyway, it is you who has the need, not me, so you should take the initiative to come to see me, not me to see you. Wait, you knew from the beginning that there was no threat? Then what we did just now was useless, right? Canid Pars suddenly realized and asked Yang Hui. Do the whole act, make it more realistic. You, asshole. Chapter 424. An offer that cannot be refused. In the mansion, Durandal sat alone in the study, thinking. The moment the camera was found, he knew that Yang Hui and Cruz would not come tonight. After watching the performance, he was completely silent, and a fire rose in his heart. Not only was his idea completely seen through, but he was also played a trick. Anyone would be angry. Durandal took a deep breath and stabilized his personality. I'll take the initiative to go. I can't let them wait for me all night. Aren't you waiting for him to come? Cruz saw Yang Hui walking straight to his room, stretching and yawning on the way. Isn't this going to sleep? Why wait? Isn't it good to have a comfortable sleep? Cruz covered his face. No, he covered his mask, and then pulled Yang Hui to the living room. What are you doing? He's coming. If he comes, I won't sleep. Wait? Just wait. Why should I wait for him? He's not my old friend. As he said that, Yang Hui stood up again and prepared to leave, but was pulled back to sit by Cruz. No, why would I attend your old friend's gathering? Do you know how long I haven't had a good sleep? I finally found an opportunity. Knock knock. Come in. Yang Hui, Speaker Durandal is here to visit. Aslan walked into the room and reported. Yang Hui narrowed his eyes slightly and turned his head to look at Cruz, blaming, resentful, angry, hateful, everything. His plan to have a good sleep was ruined. Please ask him to come. Yes. Soon, Durandal came to the living room under the guidance of Aslan. Yang Hui gave Aslan a look, and Aslan understood and left the living room. He and Canard Pars stood guard at the door and did not allow anyone to disturb them. I say, Mr. Speaker, why are you here to disturb people's sweet dreams when you are not sleeping at night? At this time, Yang Hui did not have any formal posture. He sat lazily on the sofa, and his tone towards Durandal was full of dissatisfaction and complaints. I'm really sorry, Mr. Yang Hui, there is something that must be confirmed no matter what. When Durandal spoke, his eyes were always on Cruz. Although he was very confident in his guess, guesses were guesses after all, and the answer was too important to him. Cruz looked at Yang Hui, and after seeing him nod, he took off his mask and faced Durandal with his true face. Long time no see, Gilbert. Lao. It's really you. You're still alive. After the guess was confirmed, Durandal's indifference on his face finally couldn't be maintained, and he was extremely excited. Thanks to Yang Hui for showing mercy. Cruz smiled. In fact, at that time he knew that he had angered Yang Hui, and it was an unexpected result that the other party would let him go. Mr. Yang Hui? Thank you very much. No need to thank me, Durandal, he is worthy. So you are working for Orb now? Durandal asked Cruz. I'm working for Yang Hui. I see. I understand. Kreutzer's answer made Durandal think that Kreutzer was only helping Yang Hui, not Orb. But Kreutzer's real intention was to help Yang Hui's team, because Orb would not be Yang Hui's final destination. He and their destinations were not limited to one world. This was a small tip from Kreutzer to his old friend, but he didn't know whether the other party had received it or not, and he didn't care. Anyway, with Yang Hui's character, as long as the other party didn't make trouble to destroy the cooperative relationship, Durandal would know these secrets. It was just a matter of sooner or later. Your disease. It's been cured. How is this possible? Durandal was shocked. He was the world's top geneticist, no one else. He had no solution to Cruz's mitochondrial shortage, and could only develop drugs to suppress his pain. He didn't believe that others could do it. Could it be that Sir Yang Hui, you are also an outstanding genetic researcher? Guess. Yang Hui said to Durandal with a smile. This was a very interesting rhetorical question, intended to tease Durandal, and also to retaliate against him for not letting him sleep well. Please stop joking, Sir Yang Hui, you know this is very important to me. Durandal was a proud person. He thought that his research on genes was unmatched, even the reborn Yurlian Xiang, the father of the strongest adjuster. And now, the problem he had been unable to solve was solved by a person who had never heard of any achievements or deeds in genetic research. The blow to his pride and self-esteem can be imagined. Are you trying to gather intelligence? Mr. Speaker Durandal. As Yang Hui's address to Durandal became more formal, the atmosphere among the three of them became more subdued. Sorry, I was abrupt. Durandal knew that he was too excited, and immediately calmed down. Although he cared about this issue, what Yang Hui knew and what achievements he had made were all personal privacy, and even because of his identity, they could be elevated to the level of state secrets, which was not something he could force to ask. So, do you plan to continue to implement your plan? Cruz changed the subject and asked Durandal. He knew part of Durandal's plan, although it was incomplete, but with Cruz's understanding of Durandal, as long as he knew the target, he could probably guess the process. Durandal sneered and shook his head in disappointment. With you assisting Mr. Yang Hui, my plan has failed. The two most important points in the game between the two sides are strength and intelligence. In terms of strength, Zaft and the Orb Army can be said to have their own advantages. The number of the Orb Army is not as good as Zaft, but the quality is better than Zaft. 1 + 1 - it is a 50-50 split. But in terms of intelligence, Durandal was completely defeated. Cruz knew him too well. In Cruz's eyes, there was no chance for him to hide what he wanted to do. On the other hand, he didn't know Yang Hui at all, his ultimate goal, his trump card. Once he implemented his plan, he would definitely be an enemy of Yang Hui. Durandal couldn't think of how to defeat the combination of Yang Hui and Cruz, who restrained him to death. Since it failed, don't execute it. It won't succeed anyway. Yang Hui said. But I don't want to give up just like that, Mr. Yang Hui. I hate losing. But you have already lost. This is a fact, isn't it? Yang Hui spread his hands. Not to mention that he had Cruz's help. Even if he didn't, he knew what Durandal's ultimate goal was. To be honest, Cruz and Durandal are good friends, which fully verified the truth that people are divided into groups. Both of them are crazy. One of them provoked a war because he couldn't live anymore and intended to drag the whole world to bury him, and the other was angry for his beloved and wanted to put shackles on the whole world in order to be with his beloved. Well, who knows? Maybe I can still fight back. How about I add a condition? Yang Hui had a deep smile on his face. If you agree, we will be partners. If you refuse, we'll see what happens in the future. Oh? Interesting? I'd like to hear more about it. How about giving you the chance to have children with her? What? Durandal's actions were within the expectations of Yang Hui and Cruz. This condition was one that he absolutely could not refuse. Chapter 425 Destruction, Julius 7. The next day, the official visit of the Orb delegation began. Yang Hui took Aslan to the Supreme Council to attend the meeting. This occasion was not suitable for Cruz to appear, so Yang Hui asked him to take Canid-Pars to assist Plant in capturing the remnants of the Seraph faction who were hiding and preparing to stir up trouble. This was one of the agreements reached between Yang Hui and Durandal. Yes, Durandal did not disappoint Yang Hui and Cruz, and accepted their conditions and requirements to become one of the partners. He would support Yang Hui's proposal at today's meeting, and ask Cruz to assist Durandal during the visit. Welcome again, His Excellency Yang Hui, the Supreme Leader of Orb. You're welcome, Speaker Durandal. Plant has been Orb's partner since before the war, and I hope that this relationship will continue. This is also our wish, His Excellency Yang Hui. Orb has always been Plant's best partner. I hope so. Her Excellency Yang Hui, may I ask why you came to Plant in person this time to cooperate with Plant in which field? This time I came too. Yang Hui paused halfway through his speech, looked around at all the representatives present, and continued, I hope Plant can join forces with Orb to destroy the wreckage of Julius 7. This is impossible. The representative of the radical faction stood up to object immediately. Her Excellency Yang Hui, with all due respect, you must be very clear about the symbolic significance of Julius 7 to Plant. We cannot agree to Julius 7 being destroyed. Although it is just a ruin, Julius 7 is a symbol of disaster. It is because of the existence of Julius 7 that all the adjusters of Plant can unite to fight against the Earth Union. At the same time, the wreckage of Julius 7 is also a tombstone for many adjusters. Their family members died in Julius 7 and their bodies are gone. Only by looking at Julius 7 can they feel that their deceased family members have a place to return. I can understand your opposition, Representative White. I also know how important Julius 7 is to Plant, but the reason why I made this cooperation request is because I have to do so. It is also an important reason why I came here in person to discuss with you. If it was just an ordinary diplomatic act, Yang Hui would not need to be dispatched at all, and even Wang Liumei and Wang would not need to be dispatched. It would only take one diplomatic ambassador to be excluded. But this cooperation involves the important existence of Julius 7. If it were someone else, it might be rejected without any room for explanation the moment it was proposed. But Yang Hui's identity and status were there. No matter how much they objected and were reluctant, they had to listen patiently to Yang Hui's explanation. Seeing that no one was talking, Yang Hui took out his pad and dropped a document in the conference hall so that all representatives could see it clearly. This is it. Everyone who saw the content of the document was shocked, even horrified. This document was a prediction of the movement trajectory of Julius 7. Due to the influence of the Earth's gravity, Julius 7 would fall to the Earth within 5 years, causing unimaginable disasters. This was the result calculated without any external influence. If there was an external influence, maybe it would enter the falling orbit in the next second and destroy the Earth. As you can see, Julius 7 is no longer a symbol of Plant, but a sword of Damocles hanging over the heads of the whole world. Its destruction is an inevitable result. Since we can discover this threat in advance, why not eliminate it in advance when we discover it? But there is still so much time, who knows what kind of changes will happen? That's right, Representative Adaman. It is precisely because none of us knows what kind of changes will happen in the future that we must resolve this threat as soon as possible, otherwise it will be too late when the sword of Damocles falls. Representative George Adaman, who was speaking, was choked. He didn't expect that his speech would be used in reverse by Yang Hui, and he couldn't refute it. We can immediately start the relocation operation and move, Julius 7, to a safe area. Then may I ask, what kind of location is a safe area? Yang Hui asked Representative Eduardo Lee, who was speaking. Of course, it is the area that has escaped the gravitational pull of the Earth. In this way, doesn't Julius 7 pose any threat to the Earth? Really? Representative Adaman just said that no one knows what changes will happen in the future. For example, will someone use the wreckage of Julius 7 as the fuse of war, or even the final weapon? You are slandering. We can't do that. To be honest, Yang Hui did not expect that his reason would be so strongly opposed. He was not implying that everyone present would use the wreckage of Julius 7 as a giant bomb and throw it at the Earth. Who knew that they would be so excited, as if there was something fishy going on here? I didn't say that everyone here would do this. Yang Hui looked at Durandal helplessly and explained. Then what do you mean? Have you forgotten that Blue Cosmos still exists? This is impossible. Yang Hui's explanation was immediately refuted. Even if Blue Cosmos intends to restart the war, the Earth is their home and their territory. They can't destroy the Earth. What if they just cut off a small part and threw it to the Earth? And it's in the area of their hostile forces, such as Orb. Or maybe they are just instigating some ambitious people behind the scenes, and then stopping them as a savior, directing and acting in a good show by themselves. Also, everyone here, don't forget that your country's former radical faction has not been completely eliminated. If the previous reasons just made everyone entangled, Yang Hui's words made their faces very ugly. Not to mention the moderates and neutrals, Yang Hui's statement just made them look incompetent, but the radicals present directly thought that Yang Hui was talking about them, especially Orson White and other former members of the Sarah faction. So, only by destroying it can this threat be completely eliminated. This is the safest approach for me, for everyone present, for Orb, for Plant, and for the entire Earth. It is precisely because of the symbolic significance of Julius 7 to Plant that I hope to gain Plant's recognition and help, but it is only a hope. If you insist on your own opinion, then this cooperation request will become a notice. For the destruction of Julius 7, Orb will seek help from other countries, or even carry it out alone. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 426 Yang Hui's Reverse Scale. Yang Hui's strength once again appeared in front of everyone. Several representatives present had seen it before, whether it was this is not a request but a notice in the Second Battle of Yakandui. If anyone still wants to fight, I will fight with you until you are completely destroyed, or the decision to declare war on the Atlantic Federation at a disagreement at the peace talks. And now, Yang Hui's strength once again appeared in front of them, and in an instant, they were almost breathless. Sir Yang Hui, please calm down. At this time, Durandal, who had not spoken, finally spoke, and the atmosphere on the scene was eased a lot. The representatives just didn't make a decision for a while. This matter is of great importance. The details still need to be discussed in detail by both parties. Understand? Durandal's words made Yang Hui put away his strong momentum and sit down again. In fact, the subtext was very clear, that is, he had agreed to Yang Hui's proposal and agreed to carry out the destruction of Julius 7. Not only Yang Hui heard this, but the other representatives also heard it, but no one refuted it. Yang Hui's words were very clear. The destruction of Julius 7 was imperative, and even if Plant disagreed, Orb would execute it. Of course, Plant could regard it as an act of war, but this was the stupidest thing to do. No matter how important the symbolic significance of Julius 7 was, it was just a large piece of space junk. It would be stupid to bring a strong enemy to Plant for a piece of space junk. The next thing was to discuss the specific details of the Julius 7 destruction operation, and the arguments were endless. The most important thing at the moment was how to appease and soothe the people's attitude after the destruction of Julius 7. This was an internal matter of Plant, and Yang Hui did not speak. He only needed to make sure that plant would cooperate with Orb to destroy Julius 7 together, and then know how many troops would be sent. It was enough. The rest was not something he should intervene in. But Yang Hui planned to be a spectator, but some people did not want him to be just a spectator, and they must drag him into this vortex. Sir Yang Hui, do you have any good suggestions? Durandal asked Yang Hui. This is your country's internal affairs. As an outsider, it is not appropriate for me to interfere in your country. Sir Yang Hui, Orb has always been the best partner of Plant. Our country and your country have also reached a strategic cooperation in this operation. Since we are both parties to the cooperation and it involves the results of both parties' actions, I think your suggestions are also very important. Damn Durandal. Yang Hui frowned slightly and cursed Durandal in his heart. It was agreed last night that he was only responsible for making requests and showing his attitude to get other representatives to agree to this cooperation. He would not interfere in the internal affairs of Plant. But now Durandal dragged him into this quagmire, which was a breach of promise. Although he was unhappy, Yang Hui would not get angry at this time. Personal emotions were small, and delaying the main business would not make up for the loss. If it were Orb, I would hold a large memorial ceremony to establish a glorious image for the deceased of Julius 7, and then use the dilapidated place where the deceased lived as an excuse to rebuild a formal memorial in the country to divert the citizens' comfort, and then explain the pros and cons and inform the citizens of the harm of Julius 7. Good idea. Not only was Durandal's eyes brightened, but even the other representatives who had not been able to reach a conclusion all praised. 2 steps. First, divert the attention of the people. No matter how great the symbolic significance of Julius 7 is, no one can refute the fact that it is now just a piece of space junk, and the deceased can only be buried on the wreckage like this, which is disrespectful to them. If a new and solemn memorial is rebuilt in the country, wouldn't it give the deceased a better home? In this way, the resistance of the people will be greatly reduced. After the resistance is reduced, the facts will be made public, appealing to their emotions and explaining them with reason. The combination of emotion and reason can minimize the impact. After finishing speaking, Yang Hui ignored the looks of the representatives and sat on the chair with his eyes closed. This was also to convey his attitude to Durandal that he would never participate in the internal affairs of Plant again. Durandal understood and put away his thoughts. He worked out the details with the representatives one by one. Next, it was the number of troops to be dispatched. Yang Hui made it clear that the 3rd Fleet of the Orb Space Army would participate in the operation, and Zaft also agreed to send a reorganized fleet to go there, which was enough. In fact, according to the original plot, only one team was needed to carry out the destruction of Julius 7. The reason why such a large force was sent to the wreckage area to carry out this operation together was to prevent possible accidents. After all, it was impossible to conceal such a large operation as the destruction of Julius 7 from the eyes and ears of other forces. Instead of saying nothing and being misunderstood or misled during the execution, it was better to make it public before the execution. After the disclosure, the ambitious people hiding in the dark would definitely find a way to use this matter to do something, and the fleet was the guarantee to prevent these ambitious people from making trouble. As expected of Mr. Yang Hui, your suggestions have solved a lot of problems for us. The driver and bodyguard in front can't hear it, right? Dillinger, so can you put away your false compliments? I haven't settled the score with you for involving me in the internal affairs of Plant yet. They are now riding in Dillinger's special car, and the driver's seat, the co-pilot seat and the back can be completely separated, so there is no need to worry about their attitude. Yeah, I'm saying my truest thoughts, not compliments. Dillinger shook his head and said, this is the truth. He really thinks Yang Hui is very powerful. After the cooperation is confirmed, he doesn't speak many times, but every time he puts forward suggestions, he can hit the nail on the head and help them solve problems. And the idea of involvement, I don't quite agree. After all, we are partners now, aren't we? Humph. But Mr. Yang Hui, in order to more perfectly appease the emotions of the people, I want to borrow someone from you. Go ask her yourself. If she is willing, of course there is no problem, but if she is not willing, no one can force her. Yang Hui said seriously, his attitude was unquestionable. I am so abrupt. The top leaders of all the major forces knew that Lux was Yang Hui's lover. Durandal thought that it would be okay to let Lux show up once in order to better implement the plan, But he didn't expect that Yang Hui would absolutely respect Lux's personal wishes and would not use her identity and reputation for the convenience of the plan. After sending Yang Hui back to her residence, Durandal contacted Cruz and asked him about Yang Hui. As an old friend, let me remind you that Yang Hui's woman is his Achilles heel. Whoever touches her will die, even if she is a partner. Chapter 427 Cruz and Durandal. Since then, Durandal has frequently communicated with Cruz privately, because he found that he did not understand Yang Hui at all. In Durandal's view, Yang Hui, like him, is a tyrant, the kind of person who will do anything to achieve his goals. Orb has never used nuclear weapons. Durandal's judgment is that Orb cannot use them if it wants to reach a transcendent position. Even if it succeeds in shocking countries around the world, it will only become the target of public criticism, not the so-called bottom line that constrains Yang Hui. But he almost angered Yang Hui when he borrowed Lux from Yang Hui to help him stabilize the emotions of the people of Plant. This made him difficult to understand. For the ultimate goal, it's just to let your woman contribute. It's not a big deal, is it? Therefore, Durandal wants to know more about Yang Hui. If you want to defeat your opponent, you must understand your opponent. That's right, Durandal has not completely given up his pride until now. On the surface, he agreed to cooperate with Yang Hui and did agree to win-win cooperation, but he also has to be prepared in advance. Once the two people's ideas have irreconcilable differences and conflicts, he will confront Yang Hui head-on. That's why he frequently went to Cruz to learn about Yang Hui. He could see that Yang Hui trusted Cruz. Actually, Yang Hui is a simple person. You think it's complicated. Cruz put down his chess piece and said to Durandal. Simple? This joke is not funny. He is a collection of contradictions and conflicts. Durandal took up the queen and launched a charge, eating Cruz's knight. A very accurate evaluation, gentle and domineering, kind and fierce, rigorous and lazy, upright and insidious. You can see many conflicting characteristics in him. As soon as the voice fell, Cruz's chess surprised Durandal, because Cruz actually sent the most important king to the front line. Then why do you say he is simple? Check. The chariot attacked and included Cruz's king in its attack range. Because it is separated. Cruz was not in a hurry and jumped on the horse to eat Durandal's chariot. Separated. Durandal did not give up and continued to launch a fierce attack. Yes, separately. Cruz dealt with Durandal's attack with ease. His companions are happy, because he will fully display his best side, even his flaws and weaknesses, and show his most vulnerable side without reservation. So his weakness is also obvious, that is his companions. Continue. But when dealing with enemies, he will show his most vicious side, insidious, cunning, cruel and merciless. As long as he has set his sights on a target, unless you can kill him, you will fight to the death and use all means within the bottom line to kill the target. Bottom line? Nuclear weapons. Only part of it, there are also kidnapping relatives and coercion. It's very upright, isn't it? Haha, I just think it's stupid. You say one thing and mean another, Gilbert, aren't you the same person as him? It's not that you won't use these means, but that you are both too proud and confident, so that you disdain to use such means to achieve your goals. Durandal felt very uncomfortable. Facing Cruz, he was like he was naked and was seen through. So, Yang Hui is a simple person. He is good to his companions and cruel to his enemies. That's it. How do you determine whether he is a companion or an enemy? Concepts. People who share the same concepts and can work together with him are his companions. Then why can you be his companion? I know you. You don't agree with his concept of peace? Neutrality. Intelligence, Durandal. The gap in intelligence makes it impossible for you to make correct judgments. The lack of intelligence limits your vision. In your sight, there are only Plant, Earth Union, and Orb, while we have a broader vision than you. Ding, the chess piece slipped from Durandal's hand, and he could no longer remain calm. A fantasy speculation appeared in front of him again. His eyes widened and locked onto Cruz. He wanted to ask, but couldn't speak. Go on, it's your turn. Cruz's smile was like a devil's temptation to Durandal. One step forward could be the throne or the endless abyss. But Durandal quickly adjusted his mood, restored the chessboard, picked up the chess piece, and landed around Cruz's king, locking the king again. What a pity. Cruz smiled and shook his head, picked up the chess piece to eat the thread king, and then... checkmate. Durandal lost this game of chess, and he almost didn't react. How could it be? Because you were fooled. Fooled. Durandal looked at the finished chessboard and began to recall the whole game. You used the king as bait. Not stupid. From the moment Cruz put the king in the front line, the whole game was already in Cruz's control. As Durandal said, the king was a bait that had to be eaten even though he knew it was a trap. Durandal, as Cruz expected, kept his attention on the king and ignored his layout of the chessboard. You won't do that, Durandal said to Cruz. He mistook the king for Cruz. With Cruz's personality, he would only hide behind the scenes. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he would never put himself in danger. So, I am this. Cruz flicked his finger, and the elephant, who was a few squares behind the king, fell on the chessboard. Prime Minister. You are not, then, this is him. Yes, this is what he likes most. Cruz smiled. How stupid. But he is qualified, isn't he? Durandal was silent. Cruz's chess game was a microcosm of Yang Hui's team. The king was Yang Hui, leading the charge, the queen was the emperor and others, following closely behind. The chariots, knights, and prime ministers were scattered, guarding the king's left and right, escorting and being protected by the king. As Cruz said, if this king is Yang Hui, then he is indeed qualified, and this is also Yang Hui's usual tactic, putting himself in the most conspicuous position, as bait to attract everyone's attention, being guarded by his companions while protecting his companions. All this can be done because of Yang Hui's demon-like ability. So, my guess is right. Who knows? Cruz knew that Durandal finally noticed the real reminder, but he would not tell Durandal the answer directly, because Durandal was still just a partner and not a companion. Although there was a chance, Cruz knew that if Durandal did not give up his pride, the cooperation could be broken at any time and he would become their enemy. Therefore, Cruz was also reminding Durandal not to have any thoughts that he shouldn't have. You are not Yang Hui, and you are not our opponent. Chapter 428 Undercurrent. I didn't expect you to be so good to your friends. Yang Hui teased Cruz with interest. He knew that Cruz had been reminding Durandal, and Cruz also took the initiative to tell Yang Hui about it. I just don't want our plan to change. Cruz replied calmly. Yang Hui still believed this sentence. What kind of person is Cruz? If he gets ruthless, he can drag the whole world to bury him. Would such a person be a good man? However, when helping friends and reducing variables overlap, he doesn't mind helping his friends. After all, Durandal's ability is definitely not bad to be able to become Cruz's friend. Attracting more talents for the team is also part of the plan. By the way, have those people been dealt with? Yang Hui asked. Dealt with it? Those idiots thought that they could rest easy after joining the Atlantic Federation. It's ridiculous. They were eaten up without us even having to do anything. Cruz sneered. Yang Hui and Cruz were talking about the former Orb nobles who took advantage of the fall of Orb and defected with their property. Yes, they were the 8 families that Yang Hui had coerced. Should I say they were disappointed? Or did they not disappoint Yang Hui at all? Not a single one of them stayed, and they all ran away. Even including the Salen family, several families used special channels to bring back their children who had been exiled and ran away together. However, when it comes to the children of those families who did not run away, Yang Hui is also relieved. They could actually run away with their families, but they took the initiative to refuse to defect, and even 1 or 2 took the initiative to report to the higher-ups that their families wanted to defect. Different choices bring different consequences. The self-righteous people chose to run away, and as a result, their property was divided up, and now it is unknown how many people are still alive, those who grew up in adversity and chose to stay, but preserved a share of incense for the family. Although the family is no longer prosperous, as they grow up, as long as they work hard for Orb, their status in the future will become higher and higher, and they may even be able to return to the ranks of the nobles. When Yang Hui sent these young men to different places, wasn't it to give them a chance to choose? If they could take this opportunity to return to their hearts, they would still be nobles of Orb. But Yang Hui also knew the greed and ugliness of human nature. It is easy to go from frugality to luxury, but it is difficult to go from luxury to frugality. How many people who are used to enjoying life can bear it when they lose their wealth and splendor all of a sudden? How many people can rise again? So their defection was expected by Yang Hui from the beginning, and he also made some arrangements in advance. How much did you get? 70%. Didn't you keep all of it? Cruz didn't answer Yang Hui, but just glanced at him with his eyes slightly narrowed. Okay, I'm greedy. Yang Hui raised his hands in surrender. It was good enough to keep 70% of the remaining property of the defecting family. When they defected, orb fell, and Yang Hui and others went to the universe together. Their attention was on the war between Plant and the Earth Alliance, and they didn't care too much about them. Otherwise, it would be a dream for them to escape from Orb. And don't treat the people of the Atlantic Federation as trash. There are still capable people, especially in terms of making money. Yang Hui thinks he can't compare to those businessmen, so it's a good result to get 70% with the help of advanced preparation. There is another piece of information, I can't make up my mind. What information? The little princess has been a little restless recently. Huh? Kigali. Yes. As he said, Cruz sent a piece of information to Yang Hui's pad. Yang Hui clicked it and his face immediately sank. There is someone behind her. Obviously, otherwise, the little princess would not do such a thing. The intelligence showed that Kigali, who should have lived a carefree life as a princess in Orb, is now frequently moving around among officials, and even has words and actions to win over. If it is Kigali's personal judgment, Yang Hui absolutely does not believe it. With Kigali's ability, even if she wants to sing a different tune from Yang Hui, she will do it openly and will never act in private. The term hiding one's strength and biding one's time has never been in her dictionary. Moreover, Orb is now thriving, and has become one of the countries in the world that cannot be provoked actively. Orb has restored peace and has a stronger power to protect this peace. Kigali will never take the initiative to destroy it, so investigate. Everyone who has had any contact with her, even if it's just a face-to-face encounter, must be investigated. This scope is too large, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. Cruz shook his head. After the ceasefire, Kigali also ended her house arrest, but she was not allowed to interfere in anything related to Orb, but she was still free to travel, but all her itineraries were monitored, and even when she took a bath or went to the toilet, there would be female agents monitoring her, achieving true 24-hour no-dead angle. When Cruz received this intelligence, he immediately contacted the person responsible for monitoring Kigali, but after asking, he found that there was no problem and no clues were found. This surprised Cruz. Whose people are so powerful? Can they avoid all 24-hour no-dead angle surveillance and contact Kigali? Now, Yang Hui asked Cruz to check all the people who had met Kigali. That was too many. Kigali went to the city of Orb every day to hang out here and there. She must have met hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions. Where did he get the manpower? Start with the people around her, including our people. I see. By the way, has Kisaka been following Kigali? Do you suspect he has a problem? He won't be a problem, but he is too weak towards Kigali. Find a chance to transfer him to Papua New Guinea. Got it. Also, is anyone watching Kira? Is it necessary? He lives in the orphanage of target number 2 and rarely leaves. If you are worried about the little princess coming into contact with him, don't worry. The little princess doesn't even know where Kira lives. That's good. Although Kira is sensible, he is too kind. He can't beat Kigali, so he won't watch her do stupid things alone. I'll make arrangements. When are you going to meet target number 2? Is he back? Target number 2 is Instructor Markio. He was originally target number 1, but now the Scandinavian kingdom has revealed its true colors, so Instructor Markio was put on target number 2. He has always been the person Yang Hui intended to contact, but the other party may have known something and disappeared after leaving Plant. Until now, no trace of him has been found. His home was naturally taken care of by the Yamato family and Leno Asera, who also took care of the orphans. Now that he was finally back, Yang Hui could finally meet this mysterious mentor in person. I will go see him after the matter of Julia 7 is over. Now that he is back, we must make sure he doesn't disappear again. Don't worry, it's been arranged. Chapter 429 Testing of the Pseudo-Solar Furnace. After the work in Plant was completed, Yang Hui and Cruz and his group no longer had to stay in Plant. They had already returned to Orb. All that was left was for Plant to deal with the emotions of the people, and then Orb would start to act. As soon as Yang Hui returned to Orb, he went directly to the Research Institute of the Aurora Society with Cruz, Aslan, and Kennard Pars. It was a laboratory built deep underground, and the level of confidentiality was very high. When Yang Hui and his group arrived, Wang Liumei, Sitsuna, Lyle, T. Iria, and Erica Simmons were already waiting for them. How is it? The startup test was a complete success. The TD filter layer is working well, and the toxicity has reached the safe range. Now we are ready to test the endurance and output. Go on. Through the glass, Yang Hui and his group's eyes were filled with enthusiasm. What was being tested was the first and second prototypes of the pseudo-solar furnace in the Gundam seed world. After Erica Simmons and her scientific research team worked day and night, they successfully developed the TD filter layer, eliminating the harm of the red particles of the pseudo-solar furnace. The filtered GN particles were no longer red, but orange, which was not much different from the harmless pseudo-solar furnace in the later period of Gundam. After another half an hour of testing, the endurance and output tests had come out. The endurance and output were twice that of the ultra-compact energy battery, but as Yang Hui expected, they were not as good as the nuclear engine, but this was also a very outstanding result. The remaining tests need to be installed on the MIS before we can continue. How long will it take? Don't worry, because it was you who gave me the design, I was prepared to not fail from the beginning. The body is ready and only needs to be installed. It can be completed in half an hour. Let's get started. No one left. After waiting for half an hour, they saw two fully upgraded Strike Gundams standing in the center of the test site. The test pilots are Uncle Mew and Morgan. Yes, because they have been cooperating with us in the development of independent autonomous units. I just happened to have an idea related to the pseudo-solar furnace, so I asked them to be the test pilots. Hearing this, Yang Hui was stunned, looked at Erica Simmons and asked, "Is it possible to use the Dragoon in a gravity environment?" "Yes, if the special particles you propose do have anti-gravity properties." Erica Simmons nodded. The independent autonomous unit is a very powerful weapon. A person who can use it freely is enough to rival a MIS squadron. But the restrictions are also great. First, you have to have spatial recognition ability, otherwise there is no way to control this powerful weapon. Second, this weapon can only be used in the universe, and cannot be used in a gravity environment. The GN particles proposed by Yang Hui have anti-gravity properties, so the second restriction is lifted. As for the first one, whether it is the wired pod or the Dragoon system, it is not a high-level weapon that ordinary people can use, and it has never been considered for mass production. Yang Hui sighed at Erica Simmons' excellence. She was worthy of being the leading MIS expert in the Gundam seed world. Erica Simmons had thought of this before he even brought it up. Mew, Major Shubari, the test begins. Understood. X2 heard the voices of two people in the communication. The eyes of the Strike Gundam lit up, and the gray body became bright. Mew's Strike Gundam number 1 was still the classic blue, white and red color scheme, while Morgan Shubari's Strike Gundam was black and gray, one bright and the other deep, as if one was a glamorous hero and the other was a shadow walker wandering in the shadows. The pseudo-solar furnace is activated, the output power is normal, and the entire system of the body is normal. As the pseudo-solar furnace behind him began to operate, orange starlight particles flew everywhere, dyeing the test site with the color of flames. Suspension test. Understood. Start the suspension test. X2 received the instructions, and the two Strike Gundams remained standing. Slowly, they were lifted up by an invisible force, and their feet left the ground until they stopped at a height of 20 meters above the ground. No abnormality in the system, the suspension test was successful. X2 The simple suspension test also made everyone cheer. The anti-gravity characteristics of GN particles were confirmed. The prototype they made could also make the machine body suspended in the air in violation of physical common sense. This was enough to make them excited. Silence. Continue the next test. Understood. XN The tests that can be performed in the underground test site are limited, including machine body suspension, suspension movement, basic energy loss, energy transmission, and various performances of weapons. Everyone stayed here for a whole day. With the success of each test, everyone could not hold back their excitement and ran away, even Yang Hui and others. Once the development of the pseudo-solar furnace is successful, the military strength of our will be taken to a new level. Apart from other things, the MIS army that can make various flexible maneuvers in the sky without the help of any flying tools, and the fleet that ignores gravity and realizes true airspace integration, just ask you if you are afraid. Question mark. Of course, this also depends on the manufacturing cost of the pseudo-solar furnace. If it cannot be reduced to the level of mass production, it still cannot be fully equipped in the Orb Army. Basic testing is over. Thank you for your hard work, everyone. Yahoo! All the researchers jumped up and cheered. After the test, It has been proved that GN particles are a kind of universal particles in military industry. They not only have the characteristics of anti-gravity, but also can meet all the needs of the body, such as propulsion, attack, defense, etc. If the results of this research are announced to the world, they will be the leaders in the field of science and open a new chapter for the development of world science and technology. Wow, it's really an incredible thing. At this time, Mew and Morgan Shubury, who were test pilots, also came to the command room. They were also very shocked by the appearance of the pseudo-solar furnace. Thank you for your hard work, Mew. What's so hard about this? We just followed your instructions to complete a simple test. Wait, I have a question, you two. Yang Hui suddenly interrupted the affectionate gaze between Mew and Erica Simmons and asked with a teasing look on his face. We are dating. Mew scratched his hair and replied, his old face blushed and embarrassed. The wedding date has been set, on the 5th of the next month, Commander-in-Chief, you have to give me a big red envelope, right? Compared to Mew, Erica Simmons is a married woman with children, she is frank and generous. No problem, just ask for anything. Yang Hui was not too surprised that Mew and Erica Simmons got together. Erica Simmons' husband died as a frontline miss pilot during the Battle of Orb, and now she can be with Mew. Yang Hui is also happy for them. As for what some people would say about remarrying not long after her husband died, she is a scumbag or something. Please, this is not ancient times, life can't go on after the husband dies. We are all adults, we can remarry after divorce, not to mention that the widow has a child. Chapter 430. Welcome to join us. After the cheers, everyone entered a cooling off period. Everyone looked at Erica Simmons with bright eyes. It was not because of her and Mew's wedding date. They had known about this for a long time. The reason why they were so eager to move was because of the next test. As long as the subsequent tests were successful, the pseudo-solar furnace would be declared completely successful. Okay, everyone, you've worked hard today. Erica Simmons understood the eyes of her subordinates and clapped her hands and said to everyone, but tomorrow will be even harder. Have a good rest today. Tomorrow we will conduct activity tests, combat tests and limit tests. Yes. And they were full of energy now and didn't feel tired at all. This was an opportunity to go down in history. When they thought that their names could leave a strong mark in history, their adrenaline was secreted crazily. How do you feel? Yang Hui did not ignore Morgan Shubury, who seemed out of place alone. Morgan Shubury was stunned for a moment. He was just a rebel general, and he should not be welcomed by others. Moreover, his first meeting with Yang Hui was not very friendly. After arranging him to the Dawn Society, he never contacted him again, so he did not expect Yang Hui to take the initiative to find him. What? Is there something on my face? Yang Hui saw Morgan Shubury staring at him in astonishment and did not speak, so he deliberately made a joke to ease his nervousness. You are different. And the officials of the Atlantic Federation. Yes. Orb is also different, right? Yes. Then stay in Orb with peace of mind. What the Atlantic Federation can give you, Orb can also give you. What the Atlantic Federation cannot give you, it can also give you. After speaking, Yang Hui patted Morgan Shubury on the shoulder, turned around and took Wang and others out of the command center, rested well for a night, and continued to watch the experiment tomorrow. Of course, only Yang Hui, Setsuna, Lyle, Tieria, Aslan, and Kennard Pars were there. Wang Liumei, and Cruz would not participate. They had a lot of work to do, and being able to spare a day to watch the test was already the limit. Watching the backs of the group of people talking and laughing as they left, Morgan Shubury's eyes flashed with hesitation and complexity, his fists clenched, and he struggled to make a decision. After sending Aslan and Kennard Pars away, the group came to their exclusive meeting room. Is this also technology from other worlds? Cruz asked Yang Hui and others. Yes, it's the technology of our hometown. Yang Hui smiled at Wang and others and replied. From beginning to end, Yang Hui regarded the Gundam world as his second home. It was the starting point of his rebirth and the starting point of his journey. It was of great significance to him. You didn't invent it, did you? Cruz raised his eyebrows. If GN particles and pseudo-solar furnaces were technologies invented by Yang Hui, then his evaluation of Yang Hui would be upgraded to a higher level, from a demon to a monster. You think too highly of me. Yang Hui rolled his eyes. This was invented by an old monster in our world. Moreover, this is not the complete version, but a reduced version suitable for mass production. Is this just a reduced version? Cruz was shocked and said bluntly that the emergence of GN particles will completely rewrite the world's pattern and the way of war. Apart from anything else, once the pseudo-solar furnace becomes popular and research is deepened, the naval fleet and air strike force can withdraw from the stage of history. Installing pseudo-solar furnaces on space battleships, using the characteristics of anti-gravity, to achieve true airspace integration, and with the right supporting technology, it can move freely in and out of the atmosphere. Even the MIS dedicated to water is only suitable for sneak attacks and infiltration operations. All the MIS dedicated to air will be eliminated, and there will be no need to use equipment such as aircraft and flying backpacks. Moreover, according to tests, GN particles can be used as fuel for thrusters, as ammunition for weapons, and can even be condensed around the body as an energy shield that can defend against live ammunition and light beams. It is simply a universal particle. But now Yang Hui told him that this is just a reduced version. What does the complete version look like? What other special abilities are there? This world does not have a special substance that exists in our world, so there is no way to produce a complete version. In fact, in terms of output and characteristics, there is not much difference between the solar furnace and the pseudo-solar furnace. The difference is that the complete version of the solar furnace can generate GN particles by itself, instead of being a converter that converts electrical energy into GN particles. It is a semi-permanent energy source. Semi-permanent energy. Yes, and... As he spoke, in Cruz's horrified gaze, Yang Hui and Tiira's eyes changed, and the whites of their eyes were filled with colorful streams of light. Being in an environment of high concentration and high purity GN particles for a long time, there is a chance that they will evolve into transformers. In an environment of high concentration and high purity GN particles, transformers can communicate through brain quantum waves without any visual obstructions. Transformers, brain quantum waves, haha, it seems that I still have a lot to learn. Cruz smiled, and after being shocked, he sighed. Other worlds are indeed rich and colorful. Take it and have a look. Yang Hui sent the information about the Gundam world and the Gundam Age world to Cruz, asking him to take a look. These two worlds are now the third worlds we passed through. The Gundam Age world has stabilized, and many like-minded companions have joined us, but they have gone to perform other tasks. We still have to go back to the Gundam world, which is also our hometown. Looking at the information in his hand, Cruz didn't know what to say for a moment, and looked at Yang Hui and others meaningfully. Aren't you afraid that I will spread this information? At that time, no matter what status and reputation you have, you will become the world's public enemy. This information is the ironclad evidence that Yang Hui and others are not the natives of this world. Once it is leaked, most of the forces in this world will become their enemies. This is exclusivity. We are all people of this world, and we can fight any way we want, but you are an outsider. No matter what, we can't let this world fall into the hands of outsiders. That is what Yang Hui once said, transferring internal conflicts to the outside. From the moment you watched the pseudo-solar furnace, you are a companion. Yang Hui said to Cruz. Cruz was stunned for a moment, then lowered his head and laughed out loud. Ha 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 ha, it's really an honor, Yang Hui, and everyone here. Although it's a bit late, I formally welcome you to join us and become a member of Promise Fortress, Laolu Cruz. It's my honor, everyone. So, can you tell me more about other worlds in Promise Fortress? Chapter 431 Small Problem. The next day, 2 strike Gundams brought 2 prototypes of the pseudo-solar furnace to the test site on the ground. They chose an isolated island not far from I's energy port. All departments are conducting final inspections. All systems of the strike Gundam are normal. All systems of the strike Gundam are normal. The pseudo-solar furnace is started, the output is stable, the energy transmission is normal, all systems are normal. Everything is ready. Erica Simmons turned and looked at Yang Hui. Let's get started. Yang Hui nodded and agreed to the start of the simulation test. The test begins. The strike Gundam and the strike Gundam will take off and execute the first phase of the test procedure. Understood. X2, the 2 strike Gundams flew into the air without any help and were tested according to the test procedures. The first, second and third phases were very smooth. The projects in the first 3 phases were to test whether the pseudo-solar furnace would be affected by various conditions such as airflow, temperature, humidity, etc. in the natural environment, and whether it would cause additional burden and threat to the body. After testing, there were no problems, and it could even maintain normal operation underwater. Phase 4 begins. When it came to the fourth stage, everyone became nervous, and Erica Simmons did not dare to take her eyes off the screen that recorded the machine's data. The fourth stage test, also known as the limit test, gradually increased the output power of the pseudo-solar furnace to test the limit threshold, while keeping the machine moving to test whether the machine could withstand the output of the pseudo-solar furnace. Understood. X and Mu, Major Shubali, please be safe. Don't worry, I'm the man who makes the impossible possible. Understood. Whether it was Mu's glib tongue or Morgan Shubali's rigorous answer, Erica Simmons's heart was relieved. The two had completely different personalities, but they were both reliable people, otherwise Erica Simmons would not have let them be the test pilots of the pseudo-solar furnace. Check, is the forced cut-off system working properly? Normal. Very good, always pay attention to the machine data, and cut off immediately if there is any danger. Understood. This is the backup plan prepared by Erica Simmons. A forced cut-off program is set on the two pseudo-solar furnaces. Once the pseudo-solar furnace is overloaded, all connections between the pseudo-solar furnace and the machine body can be immediately cut off, and then ejected from the machine body to ensure the safety of the test pilot. Not to mention that Mu is her lover. Mu and Morgan Shubari are both precious trump cards of Orb. If the experiment fails, just start over. The value of the trump card pilot is much more precious than the prototype of the two pseudo-solar furnaces. Fortunately, the design drawings given by Yang Hui are very complete, and the manufacturing process is supervised by Erica Simmons personally, without any cutting corners. Seeing the output approaching the theoretical threshold, Erica Simmons's tension slowly eased. At this time, an alarm suddenly sounded in the command center. Beep, beep, beep. Just forcefully shut down the program immediately. The alarm sounded, and Erica Simmons gave the order to shut down without a second thought for the safety of Mu and Morgan Shubari. Director Simmons, there are no abnormalities in the number 1 and number 2 prototypes, and the output has always been within the safe range. It's the body, the output exceeds the body's load. The subordinates did not immediately execute Erica Simmons' order, but reported the details to her. Everyone knew that the safety of the test pilot's life was the first priority, but it was not the danger of the pseudo-solar furnace, and they were reluctant to abandon the pseudo-solar furnace. Overload. Erica Simmons was stunned for a moment, then immediately checked the detailed data, then retracted the previous order and issued the correct instructions. Mu, Major Shubali, please reply if you receive it. Received, please speak. X2 test is over, slowly reduce the output of the pseudo-solar furnace and return to the base. Understood. X2 After the communication ended, Erica Simmons immediately began to check where the load problem of the body was. The theoretical threshold of the pseudo-solar furnace did exceed the ultra-compact energy battery, but it was not as good as the nuclear engine. The two Strike Gundams retain the appearance of the Strike Gundam in addition to the appearance of the Strike Gundam. The materials of the armor and frame, the conduction system, and the electronic system were all upgraded and modified according to the specifications of the Dawn Gundam, the Angel of Exa, and other bodies. In other words, the Strike Gundam can withstand the output of the nuclear engine. It stands to reason that even if the output of the pseudo-solar furnace reaches the threshold, it will not exceed the carrying capacity of the body. The problem is in the conduction system. Yang Hui suddenly said. Conduction system. Yes. The conduction system does not perfectly transmit GN particles throughout the body, and the anti-gravity characteristics do not evenly cover the body, resulting in uneven force on the body when moving at high speed. As he spoke, Yang Hui retrieved the specific data of the two Strike Gundams, and at the same time overlapped the coverage of GN particles on the body with the location of the body parts with problems. The perfect correspondence made the problem obvious. So that's it. Erica Simmons breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it was not a big problem, just a modification of the conduction system, which would not take much effort. After the machine returns, it will be repaired immediately. You cooperate with me to improve the new conduction system. You want to participate in person? Well, complete all tests as soon as possible, and then start mass production. It is best to ensure that all ACE machines are equipped with pseudo-solar furnaces before the destruction of Julius 7. All ACE-specific machines? But, don't you already have nuclear engines? Erica Simmons asked puzzledly. Nuclear engines are better than solar furnaces, but the cost is too high. At the same time, Popularizing nuclear engines will also affect the nerves of many people, so mass production has not been carried out. It is still exclusive to the Dawn Gundam, Exa, Cherubim, Disera, Freedom Gundam, Justice Gundam, as well as the Rebirth Gundam and Covenant Gundam sealed in the terminal. The pseudo-solar furnace cannot match the nuclear engine in terms of output and endurance, but the characteristics of GN particles cannot be abandoned. I plan to adopt a dual energy system. Dual energy system. Yes, use the nuclear engine and the pseudo-solar furnace at the same time to complement each other. But, is this possible? Erica Simmons understood Yang Hui's decision. After all, the characteristics of GN particles are too excellent and irreplaceable, but the dual energy system is a system that has never appeared before, and it is a dangerous move. Can the two energy sources be compatible? Will there be repulsion? And if an accident happens, the pseudo-solar furnace is fine, but if the nuclear engine explodes, the damage area and loss will be huge. I already have an idea. Let's solve the problem of the energy transmission system first, and then study the dual energy system. I understand, but there is one thing I have to remind you. Although the pseudo-solar furnace is cheaper than the nuclear engine, if everyone needs one, Orb's resources may not be enough. If it is only popularized among the MIS troops, Orb's current resource reserves are enough. But Erica Simmons knows that Yang Hui's full popularization includes battleships, and the pseudo-solar furnaces needed for battleships are very expensive. Let's do it step by step according to the priority. If it doesn't work, the mass-produced machine will temporarily use the GN particle storage tank instead. Chapter 432 Mu's Discovery. After the two strike Gundams returned, the maintenance team immediately repaired the machines. Yang Hui and Erica Simmons were also collecting the test results of Mu and Morgan Shubury. I was wondering why the machines didn't work together. So this is where the problem lies. After listening to Yang Hui and Erica Simmons' explanation, Mu answered loudly. You found out a long time ago? Why didn't you report it? Erica Simmons was angry. She thought Mu had found out the problem with the machine from the beginning, but deliberately didn't report it in order to make the test of the pseudo-solar furnace a success. You wronged me. I really didn't feel anything at the beginning. Mu Shanshan raised his hands. He also knew the reason why Erica Simmons was angry. She misunderstood him, and hurried to explain. At the end of the extreme test, the output of the pseudo-solar furnace was not felt until the third limit. Yes, I also found that the body had a serious sense of disharmony at that time. At that time, I planned to report it, but the speed was too fast. I didn't dare to distract my attention, so I didn't have time. Morgan Shubury helped Mu explain that their bodies were exactly the same except for the color, and the two had conducted simulated battles, and even their driving skills were similar, so the time they discovered the problem was almost the same. I'm sorry, I was too anxious. It's okay, this is my fault. Erica Simmons smiled slightly when she heard it, and didn't continue to be sentimental. They are all adults and no longer need that kind of sweet and sticky love. Besides the incoordination of the machine, are there any other problems? Yang Hui asked the two. Test data is just test data, which is an important aspect, but not all. The pilot's personal experience is also very important. Although each pilot will have different feelings about the same machine due to different driving habits, if the same question is raised, it is not the influence of habit. I think the output of the pseudo-solar furnace should be limited, otherwise it is easy to get into trouble. Yes, I think so too. Because of the influence of the anti-gravity characteristics, the heaviness of the machine has been weakened, and the original feeling of the machine itself has changed. If you don't pay attention, it is very likely to increase the output. So we may be fine, but ordinary pilots may lose control of the machine. Well, I know, write this down first. Is there anything else? Yang Hui asked. This is easy to solve. Not to mention that the pseudo-solar furnace has begun to be popularized from top to bottom. It is definitely not something that ordinary pilots can access at the beginning, so you can use the GN particle storage tank to adapt first. Not for the time being. Well, you guys go and rest first. Director Simmons and I will hurry up to solve the problem of the conduction system and start retesting as soon as possible. Understood. X2 Director Simmons, you go first, I'll come over later. Yang Hui said to Erica Simmons when they separated. During the conversation, he received Mu's eyes and wanted to talk to him alone. Okay. After Erica Simmons left, Yang Hui turned a few corners and found Mu, who was waiting for him here. In fact, He guessed that Mew wanted to talk to him about something. Yang Hui, Cruz is an orb, and in the Dawn Society. Sure enough. It should be the sensed when I took Cruz to visit the startup test and basic test of the pseudo-solar furnace. To be honest, Yang Hui really has a headache about the special induction between Mew and Cruz. This induction is a passive skill and cannot be turned off or shielded. As long as the two get close to a certain distance, they will sense each other's existence. Mew would definitely know that Cruz is still alive. After all, the two of them will be companions in the future, but it is definitely not now. It is too early now, at least until Mew knows the existence of Promise Fortress. Cruz it? Definitely not, I killed him myself. Yang Hui pretended to be serious and answered Mew with a frown. He must be alive. Yang Hui, you know that there is a special induction between Cruz and me, and it has never been wrong. I am sure he must be here. We must find him. He is too dangerous. Seeing Mew so nervous, Yang Hui felt that the day for him to meet Cruz might have to be postponed. Could it be another clone left by your father? And the special induction between you and Cruz also exists between you and other clones. Yang Hui thought of Lei Zabar, Mew's other cheat father, who could also produce telepathy with him, so he quickly took this out as an excuse to prevaricate. I don't know. Mew shook his head with an ugly expression. When he thought of his bastard father who created clones, his heart ached. Even if that's the case, we have to find him out. It's too dangerous for such a person to stay an orb. Okay, I know. I'll send someone to check. Well, please. Mew was only Orb's ace pilot. Although Mew was promoted after the second battle of Yakandu and is now a lieutenant colonel, he is only a lieutenant colonel. He does not have that much power to search the Dawn Society, or even Orb, so this matter can only be entrusted to Yang Hui. Alice, there is a long way to go. Looking at the corner where Mew left, Yang Hui sighed. When he thought of the complicated relationship between the two, he had a headache. Mew and his father had a bad relationship. Mew hated his father since he was a child, and Cruz was Mew's lifelong enemy. In addition, Mew hated his father, so Cruz had to bear all the new and old hatreds alone. Oh, by the way, Lei is also Mew's father. Although Lei grew up younger than Mew. The affairs of the Flacca family are really complicated and confusing. When thinking of this, Yang Hui was thankful that Cruz left Orb last night and went to the Marshall Islands to watch Mentor Malchio. Otherwise, if he took him to watch the test today, who knows what kind of trouble would happen. Forget it, don't think about it. It's a matter of time. Let's find a chance to let them solve it themselves. After making a decision, Yang Hui passed on the news that Mew had discovered Cruz to Cruz himself, and after adding his own suggestions, he put the matter behind him. He now has more important things to deal with, whether the combat power of Orb under the jurisdiction of the simulated solar furnace can be upgraded to a higher level, so it is the highest priority. Beep beep beep. As a result, what Yang Hui did not expect was that Cruz actually replied to him after receiving the message. Mana? Haha, she's really hidden deep enough. Never mind, I'll just take this opportunity. Beep beep beep. Just after reading the latest information from Cruz, Wang and Wang Liumei sent communication requests at the same time, which made Yang Hui frown. After answering the calls at the same time, Yang Hui knew something had happened when he saw the serious expressions of the two women. What happened? Kagami and Kisaka are missing, and Kiro is about to leave, but we stopped him. What happened? Give me a detailed report. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 433 True and False Mana. When Cruz found out that Kagami had secretly bribed officials, Yang Hui immediately sent a message to Wang and Wang Liumei, closely monitoring Kagami's every move, and repeatedly checking the people around her many times, even those she had met when she traveled, regardless of whether they had spoken or not, as long as they had met, all were included in the investigation list. At the same time, they also increased the intensity of monitoring Kagami, but they didn't expect that she could disappear under their noses. Also missing was Kisaka, Kagami's personal bodyguard. It stands to reason that he shouldn't have watched Kagami fool around, so why did he disappear with her? Moreover, Kisaka retired from the army after the war and has been with Kagami to take care of her and protect her. This was Yuzumi's last wish. If it wasn't voluntary, kidnapping? Yang Hui thought it was impossible. No one could kidnap Kigali quietly under such close surveillance. It's Mana. Mana? Kigali's personal maid? How is that possible? Yang Hui was shocked. Mana was from the older generation of Orb. She had been a maid of the Asha family since Kigali was not yet born. Because she was serious about her work, she was responsible for taking care of Kigali after she was adopted by Uzumi when she was still a baby. She was the one who watched Kigali grow up. Although Mana, who was also from the older generation of Orb, did not understand the overall situation, she should not have helped Kigali defect. Her actions were a betrayal to the Asha family and Orb. I'm already interrogating her, but I have no clues at the moment. The entire army is on second-level combat readiness, block the borders of the mainland, and not even a mosquito is allowed to fly out. It's been executed, the 1st Fleet and the 1st and Submarine MIS battalions are all dispatched. Kigali should still be in Orb. After Kigali disappeared, I checked the flights and ships. Only those who entered Orb did not leave. She couldn't leave Orb. Send everyone out to find her. Understood. After hanging up the communication, the research on the transmission system had to be postponed. Kigali's disappearance was the most urgent issue to be resolved. If it was not handled properly, Orb's rapid development would be cut off, and there might even be civil unrest. Yang Hui talked to Erica Simmons and immediately rushed to the prison to meet Mana. Why? Yang Hui asked Mana with a cold face. Speaking of the people around Kigali, who Yang Hui trusted the most, it must be Kisaka and Mana, because they not only watched Kigali grow up, but also watched Yang Hui grow up. Master Yang Hui, Miss Kigali needs her own life. I just hope she can relax a little bit, but who knows, who knows. As she spoke, Mana covered her face and cried bitterly. Mana meant that Kigali couldn't stand Yang Hui's surveillance and wanted a little living space of her own. Mana was soft-hearted and agreed to help Kigali get rid of surveillance. She didn't know why Kigali disappeared, let alone where she went. However, Yang Hui didn't believe it, because he found something wrong in Mana's eyes. He found that Mana's left eyeball actually stretched and shrunk, and a very slight mechanical sound came out. Control her. Master Yang Hui. What are you doing? I really. Shut up. Mana was pressed on the table. Yang Hui covered Mana's mouth with one hand, and regardless of her struggle, he turned over her left eyelid. As expected, he found something wrong with this eye. He didn't care about the cruelty of the means and forcibly took out the left eyeball. Ugh. Ignoring Mana's cry of pain, Yang Hui carefully examined the eyeball. It was undoubtedly a camera, but it was not completely mechanical. It was covered by some kind of biotechnology, otherwise it would not have escaped the previous investigation. Take it to the technical department. I want their report within an hour. Yes. After handing the eyeball to his subordinates, Yang Hui looked at Mana again. Sure enough, Mana's eyes had changed, full of anger, unwillingness and hatred. When did you change it? Yang Hui let go of his hand and asked Mana. He had no repulsion to the empty eyes and the bloody smell in the room. You are the traitor. You are the biggest traitor to Orb. Orb should have belonged to Miss Kigali. But you took it away. And Lord Uzumi was also killed by you. It was you who took away Orb. You took away everything from Miss Kigali. Haha, I understand. Then let me change the question. When did you switch with a real Mana? Yang Hui's face turned completely cold. He had discovered that the Mana in front of him was not the real Mana. You. I don't know what you're talking about. Haha, is that so? Yang Hui sneered and pulled a chair to sit opposite Mana, Shadow. The technology of the photocopiers is indeed amazing. The DNA is exactly the same, and the same memories and abilities can be instilled. Even the problem of mitochondrial shortage has been solved by them, but unfortunately, the instilled memories are false after all, and incomplete. Let me ask you, one day when I was 4 years old, Kigali ran out to play and forgot the time and didn't go home. You asked me to find her. After I found her, you scolded her. What day was it? What did you scold her for? Who else was present besides me, you and Kigali? It's been so long, I forgot. Mana, Shadow, felt guilty. She desperately searched a memory bank, trying to recall this memory, but she couldn't find it. Forgot? Or can't act anymore? Yang Hui sneered, then said to Mana, Shadow, Mana can't possibly forget that day, because that day was April 15th, which happened to be Kigali's birthday. Kigali had a quarrel with Lord Uzumi at the birthday party. It was the first time she ran away from home, and you were very angry. After I found her, you scolded her, asking if she wanted to force you to death. From then on, every time Kigali ran away from home, she would leave a letter for Mana, and would let Kisaka go with her, telling Mana not to worry about her. In addition to the three of us, there were Lord Uzmi and my father present at the time. This was also the first time Mana failed to do her job after coming to the Asha family, so she can't forget that day. She often mentioned that day in front of me to remind her not to fail in her duty again. Well, although the number of times Kigali made her fail in her duty continued to increase. How come? How could you not know? Right. Yang Hui continued to explain scientific knowledge to Mana. Shadow, even if it is a photocopy, it can speed up the growth of the human body, but the human brain is the most mysterious area, because although it grows with the body, the brain capacity and nerve endings are still in a tender state, and the memory it can receive is limited, so the older the photocopy, the more it needs to streamline the transmitted memory. Once there are too many, the brain will be overloaded, and the result is brain death. P.S. Nonsense, save your life. Is the real Mana still alive? Yang Hui asked Mana. Shadow. Really? I know. Yang Hui got up and left the interrogation room. He had already determined that this Mana was a photocopy, so there was no need to ask further. The photocopy's brain also had restricted instructions, and it would not leak any information about the librarians. And from Mana, Shadow's expression, the real Mana should be in danger. Beep beep beep. It's me. Seeing that it was Wang Liumi's call, Yang Hui immediately answered it. Kigali is back. Back? Alone. Kisaka accompanied her. She said she just went to the beach to relax. She knew we had captured Mana, so she wanted to see you. I'll come right over and control him and Kisaka. Don't let them leave. Understood. Chapter 434. Kigali is also fake. Yang Hui arrived at Asha's mansion at the fastest speed. As soon as the two met, Kigali pounced on Yang Hui with her teeth and claws bared, looking like she was ready to fight. Asshole. You took Mana. Catch whether it was the action of flying, the angry questioning, or the tears, they were all held back. Master Yang Hui. Take down his gun. Seeing Kisaka's move, Yang Hui immediately ordered Kisaka to be disarmed and controlled. Stop. What on earth are you going to do? Bang Mana was captured, and her last resort Kisaka was also taken down. Kagali's temper ignited again, but it cooled down halfway, and she was even cold all over, because Yang Hui fired without hesitation, and the bullet brushed her ear and sank into the wall behind her. Now there is still the warmth and stinging feeling of the bullet. You. When was the first day you ran away from home? Why? How did you come back? Yang Hui ignored Kagali's tears and asked Kigali the same questions he had asked Mana. What on earth are you going to do? Answer my question. How could I remember such a small thing? Kigali wanted to run away, but she didn't dare to move, because she saw the coldness and murderous intent in Yang Hui's eyes. If she moved again, Yang Hui would really shoot. Mana's first dereliction of duty almost made her depressed and suicidal. You caused her to forget it. Yang Hui asked coldly. What? Mana actually. Bang! Without waiting for Kigali to finish, Yang Hui shot directly, hitting Kagali's right leg. Ah! Kigali cried out in pain and screamed as she fell to the ground, holding her right leg that was bleeding. Yang Hui had already determined that this Kigali was also a copy. Kigali was a thick-skinned person, so it was understandable that she couldn't remember her childhood for a while, but that time when Mana almost committed suicide due to depression, even if she forgot it for a while, just mentioning it would make her remember it, because Mana was one of the people Kigali trusted and loved the most, and it was impossible for her to completely forget this matter. Master Yang Hui. What are you doing? She is. Seeing this, Kisaka at the side also became angry and began to struggle hard. And you? Yang Hui walked over and cut Kigali's neck with a palm, making her faint. He asked someone to stop the bleeding for her, then pointed the gun at Kisaka. Have you always been single? Master Yang Hui. Answer my question, Kisaka, or you know what the consequences will be. Or, are you going to say something? No. Before coming to Orb, I secretly made a lifelong commitment to childhood sweetheart, but she died in the war. I survived by chance and was brought back to Orb by Lord Uzmi. Kisaka is not a fool. He was furious before, but after calming down under the threat of life and death, he found that things might be very complicated. 5 years ago, On September 30th, what did I say to you? You asked me to protect Miss Kigali and monitor her at the same time. Any unusual movement of Miss Kigali had to be reported to you, but I refused. Then what about January 15th, 4 years ago? You cursed Lord Uzmi and Lord Yang Hui behind their backs because they intended to marry you to Miss Kigali. I happened to pass by at that time and overheard it accidentally. The location was in the back garden of the Yang family. The purpose of my going to the Yang family that day was to pass on a message to Lord Yang Hui on behalf of Lord Uzmi. These questions are all very personal questions, especially the last one. This incident was a pure coincidence, and it was a complete life memory. It stands to reason that the memory that the photocopier can accept should not include such useless memories. But Yang Hui did not dare to immediately confirm that the Kisaka in front of him was the real body. What if the blind cat met a dead mouse? Let me ask you, during the time when Kigali was missing, was she out of your sight? Yang Hui asked. Yang Hui set the time when Kigali was switched during the time when she was missing for 2 reasons. First, except for this period, Kigali was under the surveillance of Shinrun 24 hours a day, and the librarians had no chance to switch Kigali. Only during this period of disappearance did Kigali escape from their sight. Second, if Kigali had been switched early in the morning, there would be no need to stage this disappearance drama. Yes, Miss Kigali went to the toilet twice, each time for about 5 minutes, Master Yang Hui. Do you remember the specific location? Yes. Take 2 more teams to follow him, with the target location as the center of the circle. Search the radius of 5 kilometers for me, keep communication open, report every 5 minutes, keep a close eye on him, and if he tries to escape, you are allowed to kill him on the spot. Yang Hui ordered the person in charge of the intelligence team. Yes, XN. Master Yang Hui, what is going on? Miss Kigali. Go with him first, and check again when you come back. Yang Hui did not explain the current situation to Kisaka, but gave orders directly, because he had not yet confirmed that the Kisaka in front of him was not a photocopy. Kisaka opened his mouth, but said nothing, but he knew that the current situation was very serious, and there was something wrong with the Kigali he brought back, otherwise Yang Hui would not have asked some personal questions and then shot Kigali directly. So he chose to follow Yang Hui's orders obediently. Now he has not been cleared of suspicion. When this suspicion is cleared, Yang Hui will explain to him. Take her to prison 0 for custody. Be careful on the way and don't let anyone find her. Yes. After the group left, Yang Hui asked his men to take Kigali to the secret prison for detention. Although it was a fake, the restoration was very high. Once someone with ulterior motives exposed it, there would definitely be riots inside Orb. Liu, you go in person, otherwise I will be worried. Thinking of this, Yang Hui guessed that perhaps this was the enemy's purpose. So they deliberately exposed Mana, Shadow, and released Kigali, Shadow, as bait, just to curb the rapid development of Orb. So Yang Hui asked Wang Liu to accompany him and personally escort Kigali, Shadow, so that he could feel at ease. I will leave immediately and will not let anyone find out. Wang Liu nodded. She had already guessed that this Kigali was fake and was probably the photocopy person they had met before. Come back immediately after sending it over. We need to discuss this matter in detail. Understood. After Wang Liu led the team away, Yang Hui immediately sent a message to Wang and Cruz, asking them to go to the team's exclusive meeting room immediately, including Cruz who was watching Mentor Malchio outside. Now Kigali's disappearance is the most important thing. Other things, except the destruction of Orb, have to be put on the back burner. Because if this matter is not handled well, the country will not be destroyed, but civil unrest will definitely occur. Just as Yang Hui was leaving the city hall, he met another person he needed to keep an eye on at the gate. Yang Hui, I heard that Kigali. Chapter 435 Kira's Child. Guessing what Kira was going to say, Yang Hui hooked Kira's neck, pretended to smile and said loudly, long time no see. Kira, you haven't come to play with me for a long time, and it really makes me sad that you mention Kigali as soon as we meet. You don't know, that girl was bored and ran away from home again. She ran to the beach to play and came back. You don't know how naughty that girl is. We are almost going crazy. Many people put down their work and go to find her, but she just went to play. Don't you think it's infuriating? Yang Hui interrupted Kira's words directly. They were not indoors now. There were people everywhere around, and there were even a few hidden reporters. It was unknown where Kira got the news from, but Kira came just after Cagali was secretly sent away. The person who passed the news to him must have a problem, and those hidden reporters also confirmed Yang Hui's judgment. Oh, yes, a little. Kira's mouth twitched in embarrassment. He knew very well how naughty Cagali was. It was reasonable for her to do such a thing, but this was different from what he had heard. By the way, where's Cagali? Did she come out? Kira asked. Of course she was sent home and taught a lesson. Otherwise, would you let her continue to make trouble? Yes, that's it. Kira didn't expect that he was a step too late. Cagali had already been sent away. Although he felt something was wrong, Kira still believed Yang Hui, and it made sense. Well, how are you doing lately? Very well, I like my life now. The topic was changed, and the embarrassment on Kira's face disappeared, replaced by a happy smile. By the way, Frey is pregnant. Oh? Congratulations. Yang Hui sincerely congratulated Kira. On the one hand, he was really happy that he had offspring, and on the other hand, Kira had an extra bond, especially the unborn child. So when Kira makes any decision in the future, he will first consider the child and will not easily follow others out of kindness. Thank you. It's my pleasure. How is Frey? Very well. She is taking care of the child with my mother and Aunt Sarah, and she is very happy every day. That's good. You should spend more time with Frey. By the way, take this card and buy some supplements for Frey. No need. I have enough money. It's not for you. It's for the unborn child. Well, okay. Since Yang Hui said so, Kira couldn't refuse anymore and took the black card from Yang Hui's hand. By the way, Yang Hui, I heard from Aslan that you made something amazing again? It's called the pseudo-solar furnace. Don't worry about these things now. Go back and take good care of your wife and children. This is what you need to care about most. Kira is not a military officer now, and the pseudo-solar furnace has not been made public yet. It is a state secret. Strictly speaking, Aslan should not tell Kira about the pseudo-solar furnace, but Yang Hui also knew that Kira would not spread it everywhere, so he did not arrest Kira and Aslan, but fooled them. After all, Kira's current position is very awkward. He is a citizen of Orb and one of Orb's strongest fighters, but he may become Orb's enemy at any time. Therefore, before Kira is determined to board the Freedom Gundam again to fight for Orb, Yang Hui tries to avoid Kira's contact with the military affairs as much as possible. On the other hand, this is also for Kira's good. If he contacts Kira too much, he will inevitably have wild thoughts. Now he just needs to take care of Frey and the baby in his belly and wait for the baby to be born. Okay, I know. Then Yang Hui, I'll go first. Go ahead, contact me if you have any difficulties. Just like when you were in elementary school, you and Aslan were blocked in the toilet by 8 senior students, and I came as soon as you called me. No. It's obviously 4. And it's not the toilet, it's the warehouse of the gymnasium. Isn't that more embarrassing? Oh, I'm leaving first. I still have to buy some things to take back. After seeing Kira off, Yang Hui also took a car to meet up, but as soon as he got on the car, the sunny smile in front of Kira disappeared, and his brows furrowed. It seems that Kira is fine, but who informed Kira? In order to prevent Kira from noticing something unusual, Yang Hui did not ask Kira who told him that Cagali was in trouble, and to be on the safe side, Yang Hui also tested Kira, and there was no problem. Before, he had confirmed with the secret sentries around the orphanage that Kira's family had not come into contact with suspicious people. In addition to this test, it should be confirmed that this Kira is the real body. When he came to the team's exclusive meeting room, Yang Hui saw Wang and Cruz waiting for him inside. A few minutes after Yang Hui arrived, Wang Lianmei also rushed over. Is the situation very bad? Seeing Yang Hui's face was very ugly, Cruz asked. It's terrible. Except for you guys, I can't trust anyone now. Yang Hui said sadly. He hated this feeling. Many people around him were companions who had experienced life and death together. The gap between them and Wang and others was the Promise Fortress, and it was only a matter of time. But now, he had to wonder if these companions were fakes. The people who went to investigate brought Kisaka back. Kisaka did not make any unusual movements to escape, and clues were indeed found at the scene. There were obvious signs of dragging in the mud of the woods. It should be that there was not enough time and they were afraid that Kisaka would find out, so they did not clean it up. but there were no signs of fighting. Kigali should have been subdued in an instant without any resistance. Can you find out where Kigali is hiding? It will take time. The tracking of the traces was broken halfway, but she must still be in the mainland. Wang Lumai confirmed. I will go to check it myself and give you an explanation. Cruz took the task seriously, because it was his responsibility. He was responsible for all the hidden affairs of Orb, including surveillance, tracking, intelligence, assassination, etc., as well as anti-infiltration, anti-assassination, etc. Kigali's accident happened in his field, and he should bear the responsibility. Well, there is another thing for you. Yang Hui did not comfort Cruz, because this was Cruz's responsibility. Whether it was a mistake or his job, he should take over. As the scale of Promise Fortress grows, the various regulations will certainly become more and more formal. Even within the team, if you make a mistake, you have to take responsibility. There is one more thing, except for the personnel of the Kingdom of Scandinavia and the second target, all of them will be withdrawn to the mainland, and Orb will be thoroughly investigated. Do you really want to do this? Wang asked. Not to mention how much work is required, the impact of doing so is huge. If they really find out, it will be good. If nothing is found, it will make everyone feel disappointed. Try to be as secret as possible. If you don't find out, it will make people feel uneasy. Yang Hui sighed and said. Including Kira, he couldn't trust the other party 100%, let alone other people. Colonel Lamias and Colonel Bakalulu, come by yourself, I dare not touch them. Cruz said. Malu and Bakalulu have a close relationship with Yang Hui. They are Yang Hui's women and Yang Hui's taboos. Even if the problem is really found, Cruz dare not deal with them. Wang, I'll leave this matter to you. I have to go to the Dawn Society to complete the pseudo-solar furnace. Cruz is not convenient to show up there, so I'll take charge. No problem. Chapter 436 Morgan Shuberry's Confession. Back at the Dawn Society, Erica Simmons did not ask Yang Hui what he was doing, because her duty was development and research, and she did not care about other things. But from Yang Hui's serious expression, it can be seen that something extraordinary has happened. Director Simmons, Uncle Mew, you two come with me. It is impossible for Yang Hui to investigate whether the people around him are the real people, so he decided to identify a small number of people first, and then radiate outward from a small number of people. The first ones to be identified were Erica Simmons and Mew, because these two were the most important people in the Dawn Society, and they were also the people he was most familiar with, and this familiarity included brain quantum waves. Did something happen? Erica Simmons asked. Yes. Cruz? Did you find him? Mew thought Yang Hui had found the trace of Cruz, so he was so serious. No, it's something else. As he spoke, Yang Hui's hand had already touched his waist and grasped the handle of the gun. No matter what you see later, stay calm and don't ask. Okay. X2 Although the two didn't know what had happened or what would happen, Yang Hui's expression and tone had already told them that they could not refuse or resist, and they had to follow through. The next second, they were stunned. Yang Hui's eyes suddenly changed, and the light was swimming. This was not a human eye at all. This state only lasted for a few seconds and then disappeared, and the hand holding the handle of the gun also dropped. Okay, ask whatever you want to ask. Seeing that the two couldn't close their mouths, Yang Hui sat down and said to them. Your eyes. What happened? Mew was still going to ask what was wrong with Yang Hui's eyes, but Erica Simmons interrupted him directly and asked the reason for the matter. Yang Hui's eyes were his personal problem, but it was obviously Yang Hui's secret. He showed the secret to the two, which meant that it was time to do this. In this way, Erica Simmons knew that something very serious had happened. Kigali is missing. What? At 10 o'clock in the morning, Kigali escaped our surveillance and disappeared. How is this possible? Her Royal Highness the Princess doesn't have such ability. Yes, someone helped her. Then, Yang Hui told Erica Simmons and Mew everything, including that Mana, who helped Kigali escape surveillance, was a fake, and Kigali who came back by herself was also a fake, and the real Kigali was not found. This, the photocopy. Yes, it's the photocopy. If I don't check it out, I really can't rest assured. Yang Hui explained to the two and apologized to them. After all, no one likes the feeling of being suspected. Investigate us. The two were stunned. From the morning until now, no one came to investigate them. They had been focusing on the research of the pseudo-solar furnace, and then they were called here by Yang Hui. Wait? Your eyes. That is a special method, the transformer. In order to adapt to the evolution of the universe, humans can sense the brain quantum waves of others. Even if they are clones who are exactly the same, their brain quantum waves are different. I just checked your brain quantum waves and confirmed that it was you. Transformer? Brain quantum waves? Lord Yang Hui, you keep giving us surprises. Oh no, it's more like scaring us. Erica Simmons said, with a somewhat resentful tone. Yang Hui did not blame her. After all, unknown things are priceless treasures for researchers. Some things are not the time for you to know. I will explain them to you in the future. Now we need to find out whether there are rats in the Dawn Society, and how many rats there are. Yang Hui said seriously. Okay, no problem, what do we need to do? Erica Simmons asked. We definitely can't investigate openly, otherwise the enemy won't need to do anything and their goal will be achieved. That's right, start with the people you are most familiar with and use small things in life to test, and you should be able to complete the preliminary screening. Also, Director Simmons, raise the security level of each project of Dawn Society. No problem, I'll arrange it right away. Can't you use brain quantum waves to confirm? Just like us. Mew suddenly said. I can't do it. To confirm whether it is the real person through brain quantum waves, first I have to know what his original brain quantum waves look like. You are people I am familiar with, so I naturally know your brain quantum waves, but I can't remember the brain quantum waves of everyone, and the transformer mode consumes a lot of my mental energy. I can't persist for a long time, and this thing can't be done slowly. Yang Hui explained that it would be great if the problem could be solved directly with the transformer mode. But unfortunately, it is not possible. The secret of the transformer mode symbolizes the secret of their identity. If it is not the person he trusts the most, he will never expose it. Just like just now, if he is sure that Erica Simmons and Mew are fakes, he will immediately draw his gun and shoot them. This is why Yang Hui did not use the transformer mode when testing Mana, Kogali, Kisaka, and Kira. There are too many outsiders and he does not want to be exposed. At the same time, the limitation of brain quantum waves is also real. To determine the true or false, you must at least know what it really looks like, right? There are so many people in orb, and he can't remember their brain quantum waves for each one, so this method can only be used on people he is familiar with and trusts. I see, I know what to do. Go, thank you for your hard work. After the two left, Yang Hui rubbed his brows. He was really helpless. For the mission and plan, he had to be the kind of person he hated the most. Beep beep beep. Who is it? A request to enter the room door came, and Yang Hui answered the pager outside the door and asked, Lord Yang Hui, I'm Morgan Shubari. I have something to talk to you about. Come in. Thank you very much. After Morgan Shubari's request was approved and the door was opened, Yang Hui found that it was not only Morgan Shubari who came to see him, but also Rena Amelia, Edward Harrison, and Jane Houston. This made Yang Hui subconsciously touch the pistol on his waist, and his body was tense, so that if they made any dangerous moves, he could kill them first. Sorry to bother you, Lord Yang Hui, there is something we think we should report to you. Morgan Shubari, the leader, and the three of them bowed to Yang Hui and said sincerely. What is it? Do you four need to come together to report? Yang Hui asked seriously, still not letting down his guard. In fact, after we came to Orb, we all had contact with Atlantic Federation intelligence personnel. Chapter 437 The current situation and arrangements of the four surrenderers. What's going on? Give me a detailed report. Hearing this, Yang Hui was stunned for a moment and continued to ask. It's like this. Then, the four of them reported their situations to Yang Hui in detail. They were originally the ace pilots of the Earth Union. Their defection had a great impact on the Earth Army. After they came to Orb, the spies of the Atlantic Federation found an opportunity to contact them, hoping that they would become undercover agents of the Atlantic Federation and lurk in the Orb Army. Except for Edward Harrison, who directly refused, the other three did not refuse, but they did not agree either. They were always hesitant. After all, they were once the Earth Army. Their honor and beliefs were in the Earth Army and had not completely disappeared. Moreover, their families were still in the sphere of influence of the Earth Army. They had to consider the other party's proposal. But they also really liked the life in Orb, a peaceful country. Even the expanding army was united, full of vitality and vigor. This made them, who were used to the dirtiness in the Earth Army, very yearning and wanted to live in such an environment. So the three of them were struggling psychologically and were always hesitating. Until the day of the test of the pseudo-solar furnace, Yang Hui made Morgan Shubury's wavering heart firm. Not only was he getting stronger day by day, with endless trump cards, but also Yang Hui's attitude towards him. He could feel that Yang Hui, as the highest leader, did not discriminate or reject him as a traitor, nor was he as high-handed as the senior officers of the Earth Army. He did not even mind the tension when they first met, which touched him. So after leaving the Dawn Society, last night, he made an appointment to meet them and told them his ideas. At the same time, he also persuaded Rena Emilia and Jane Houston to stay in Orb with him and reject the spies of the Atlantic Federation. The two women's hearts were originally wavering, but under the persuasion of Morgan Shubury and Edward Harrison, they also made a decision, but there was a prerequisite, that is, their families. To be honest, I didn't expect you to confess to me on your own initiative. Yang Hui was silent for a moment, and said to the four people, I have always known about this matter. Your every move is under surveillance. After all, you have just defected from the Earth Army and joined Orb not long ago. Understand? The four nodded. They were not angry about being monitored. They knew their own situation. They defected to Orb. As the person in charge of a country, Yang Hui would not be stupid enough to trust them 100%. Even with the exception of Edward Harrison, their first meeting was not very good. I haven't contacted you all this time. First, I am really busy, and second, you didn't give a definite answer. Now, you take the initiative to confess to me. To be honest, I am very happy. Of course, Yang Hui couldn't give the four people 100% trust, but it also changed from 30% to 40% to 80%. Lord Yang Hui, we have a request, please agree to it. Family. Yes, our family has been targeted by the Atlantic Federation, we ask you to save them. No problem, I will send someone to pick up your family to Orb, and we will be reunited with you within a week. Thank you very much. Okay, don't be so polite, you are also a member of Orb, and you are the ace pilot of the Orb Army. These things are what we should solve for you. Without worries, you can fight for Orb with confidence. Sir Yang Hui. Although Yang Hui said it very snobbishly, they were still very moved. If this happened in the Earth Army, the superiors would not care about it at all, and would not care whether their family members were dead or alive. They would even be afraid that they would rebel and arrest them in advance. Okay, it's a good thing that you are here too. Except Morgan, please report your work. Yes. Morgan Shubury's work is the most dangerous among them, but also the easiest. He just needs to cooperate with the research and development of the Dawn Society every day. Unlike other people, each of them has a lot of things to do in their respective positions. I was transferred to the elite training camp by the Chief of General Staff to train elite troops. First, the oldest Rena Emilia reported, there have been certain results so far. I dare not say that they are comparable to the 1st Special Forces Brigade led by Colonel Kingayan, Colonel Delandi, and Colonel Erd, but I am confident that they can hold on for a while. Don't look at what Rena Emilia said, they can only hold on for a while in the hands of the Special Forces, but this is already an outstanding achievement. You must know that the Special Forces Brigade is the elite trained by Setsuna, Lyle, and Tiria, all of whom have participated in the war, especially the 1st Squadron, who followed Yang Hui and others to participate in the 2nd Battle of Yakandu. There were some losses, but all the survivors were elite veterans. If they were placed in other forces, they would be ace pilots. How terrible is the dominance and threat of a troop composed of such members on the battlefield? To be frank, unless the enemy's number is 5 times theirs, or they are all ace pilots of the level of Isaac, Diego, and Nicole, it is simply a dream to defeat them head-on. Of course, there is another situation, that is the technology gap, but with Yang Hui, the technology gap will only appear on the enemy, not on them. Very good, Rena, have you ever thought about joining the Special Forces? Yang Hui asked Rena Emilia. Her current special machine is a fully upgraded Storm Gundam, which is powered by nuclear power. The dual guns are no longer front-to-back docking, but the same side-by-side combination as the Emerald Storm Gundam. In addition to the missile launcher, the shoulders are also equipped with high-energy beam cannons. At the same time, there are auxiliary arms and rotatable attack shield systems on the sides. The attack shield system consists of a shield with sharpened edges and a beam Vulcan cannon. When necessary, The auxiliary arm can also discard the attack shield system and use the beam dagger for close combat. No, Lord Yang Hui, my idea is to create a second special brigade. What a great ambition. The name of the special brigade is not something you can just ask for. Yang Hui and Wang positioned the special brigade as an absolute ace force. They usually don't appear on the field, but when they do, they are the ultimate killer. It is precisely because of this that the Orb Army has expanded several times, but there is still only one special brigade. There is no second one, even though Setsuna, Lyle, and Tieria are still training pilots for the Orb Army. Thank you for the compliment. Work hard, Reina. I am looking forward to the emergence of the second special brigade. Yes, I will ensure that the mission is completed. Reina Emilia finished speaking, and then it was Jane Houston's report. A total of 4 brigades have been established in the submerged Ms. Force, and they are currently carrying out the order of the Chief of Staff to blockade the local waters. Orb has formed a special underwater force, all of which are composed of M1 heretics that have been specialized in underwater. Although they have only replaced the backpack and specialized transformation, their performance is not bad at all. Yang Hui borrowed from the Abyss Gundam that will only appear in the future. The auxiliary arms have arc-shaped shells on both sides of the body. When diving in the deep sea, they can be closed together to wrap the body. The arc-shaped design allows the body to have mobility in the water that is not inferior to gun and issue. In addition, the shell is equipped with torpedo launchers and balance wings that can be used for close combat when approaching enemy aircraft. There are triple torpedo launchers on the sides of the legs of the main body, and the hands can be equipped with sonic cannons and handheld torpedo launchers. Because it is an underwater battle, it is not equipped with a beam sword, but 2 retractable physical tridents. The 3 blades of the trident have the ability to eject and can be ejected to kill the enemy. The long pole left can also be used as a 3-blade beam spear on the ground. At the same time, for amphibious operations, the inner side of the arc-shaped shell contains beam rifles or other land beam weapons. After leaving the water, the arc-shaped shell can be disconnected from the body and stand in front of the body as a shield, and the land weapons can be used to establish a position. Jane Houston's own machine was also of course newly manufactured. It was a fully upgraded Azure Gundam based on the basic technology of the G-series. It was equipped with a nuclear engine and VPS armor. When it was started, it was the color of the sea. Both its mobility and defense were several times that of the M1 Assassin's water specialization. In terms of armament, in addition to all the armaments of the M1 Assassin's water specialization, it also had 2 double-mounted solid cannons at the front of the curved shell, which could also be used underwater. How is the combat effectiveness? Can it compete with Zaft's underwater Ms. Force? Yang Hui was confident that the performance of the machine would not lose, but after the establishment of Orb's underwater Ms. Force, it had never participated in actual combat, so he did not know its specific combat effectiveness. In the simulation training, the data compared with Zaft's underwater Ms. Forces is a complete victory. Even in the simulation training of landing operations, it broke through the blockade of the 1st Battalion and the 2nd Battalion. Well, that's good. Actual combat can't satisfy you now, but after a while, I will consider contacting Zaft to see if we can conduct a joint military exercise. No need for that, Lord Yang Hui. It would be best if there is no actual combat. Correct point of view, but you are all soldiers and you should know very well that peace is built on powerful military force. I don't want our people to die on the battlefield because they are intoxicated with the comfort of peace when the war comes. Understood. What about you, Edward? If I remember correctly, you should have been sent to your homeland by Vital. Yes, Lord Yang Hui. Edward Harrison's machine was still the sword-fighting type disaster Gundam, but it was also fully upgraded. As for the weapons, except for the throwing beam dagger that Edward Harrison liked very much, there were no additional weapons. Like Setsuna, he was a pilot specialized in close combat, and had the same attitude towards long-range attack methods. It was okay, but knives were still more useful. Don't have too much hope for my shooting. Yes, Lord Yang Hui, but you know, the Atlantic Federation and the United States of South America had peace talks a few days ago and returned all the territories except the Panama spaceport, including the mines you were interested in, so I also came back to report on my work. Edward Harrison shrugged and said, "Isn't it good to stay in your hometown? If you bring it up, I believe that the Emperor and Vital will agree. Of course it's good to stay in my hometown, But I'm also a man and I have to keep my promise. Orb has helped the motherland regain the lost land and ended the war, so I naturally have to come back to repay the favor. Edward Harrison answered frankly. Which unit do you want to go to? Yang Hui was silent for a while and asked Edward Harrison. Follow the arrangements of the superiors. Edward Harrison didn't have too many ideas. He returned to Orb to repay his gratitude, but he only knew how to drive Miz to fight, and he didn't even have the teaching ability of Reina, Setsuna, Lyle, Tieria and others. In addition, it was a peaceful time and there was no fighting, so he could only follow Yang Hui's arrangements and go wherever he was needed. Well, you go to Reina's men. Yang Hui decided. Is it okay? X2 Edward Harrison and Reina Emilia were surprised at the same time. The former was because the latter was her teacher, and he had just returned to Orb, and he didn't know many people in the army, so it was more intimate to be in the same unit with acquaintances. The latter was surprised that Yang Hui gave her an ace pilot without thinking too much. An ace like Edward Harrison should be sent to a special brigade or even lead a unit alone. Of course, although the Special Forces Brigade does not rely on trump cards, it is not short of trump cards. The 1st Special Forces Brigade has Barry and Jiang, and the future 2nd Special Forces Brigade will also have the same number of trump cards, right? This answer stunned the 4 people, and Reina Emilia was even more moved, because Yang Hui's words just now were even more like acknowledging the existence of the 2nd Special Forces Brigade and recognizing her determination. Thank you very much, Lord Yang Hui. I will definitely live up to your expectations. Don't rush to thank me, I'm talking about the future. Whether the 2nd Special Forces Brigade can be established depends on your ability. Yes. Guarantee to complete the task. After listening to their reports, Yang Hui chatted with the 4 people for half an hour, mentioning words such as spies and intelligence from time to time, and observing their expressions and demeanor at all times. He did not find any abnormalities, and temporarily judged that they could be trusted. Therefore, when they left, a top-secret mission was issued. I'm giving you a top-secret mission. It is not allowed to be leaked to anyone. You are directly responsible to me. After returning to your respective positions. Chapter 438 Heartbroken. After arranging the 4 people, Yang Hui did not immediately go to find Erica Simmons, but returned to his own mansion first. Wang Liumei and Wang were responsible for the authenticity of the servants and guards at home. He needed to pay attention to the identities of Malu, Bakalulu, and Lakis who had been idle at home. Malu and Bakalulu were under Wang's care. After all, the probability that they were photocopies was very small. Whether they were assisting Mina in establishing the space army in the universe or returning to Earth, the 2 women rarely showed up outside. Malu was still the captain of the Archangel. Now the Archangel had no combat missions and did not belong to any space fleet. As an independent unit without combat missions, the crew members of the Archangel were also in a semi-holiday state. Malu also returned to his old job and became a technical chief. Baki Lulu is no longer a member of the Archangel. She is now the captain of the Special Operations Force. The members of this Special Operations Force are Yang Hui, Setsuna, Lyle, Tieria, and Cruz. The battleship equipped is the 1st, Killen class, Sky Sword, the 1st, Killen class, built before the Killen, and its performance in all aspects is stronger than the Killen class battleships of the regular fleet. Because of the small number of aircraft carried, 2 catapult decks and redundant hangar positions were removed, and 2 225 cm twin-mounted high-energy beam cannons, Godfeld Mk71, 2 110 cm linear cannons, variant Mk8, and 2 10-mounted missile launchers were installed. In addition to the armament, the maximum speed is twice that of the ordinary Killen class. The entire ship is equipped with VPS armor. In terms of live ammunition defense, a small amount of rare metals are added to the armor of important parts, especially the cursed port side. To put it bluntly, the Special Operations Force is capable of fighting as well as a reorganized fleet. But this force will not be used easily. After all, the members are the focus of the whole world, and any action may cause martial law. In addition, most of the people in this force are very busy. They will not participate in any battle unless it is very important. Otherwise, what is the purpose of establishing such a huge orb army? As the captain of the only battleship in this force, Baki Lulu rarely has combat missions. She is mostly on standby in Orb, training the new crew members. When she is free, She will occasionally go to the boot camp to teach the reserve crew members, or stay with Meru. So Yang Hui doesn't worry about the two of them. The only one worth worrying about is Lakis, because Lakis has been alone before returning to Earth. What's wrong? Looking at Yang Hui with a complicated expression, Lakis tilted her head and asked. Originally, Yang Hui planned to take office as the secretary of the highest leader after Lakis arrived in Orb, but Yang Hui talked to Lakis after returning to Orb from Plant. She said that she did not want to enter politics, and her identity was too sensitive. The diplomatic relationship between Orb and Plant was also very sensitive. If Lakis appeared in the political circle of Orb as Yang Hui's secretary, her fans in Plant would probably riot. And according to her own wishes, she also hopes to continue to be a singer and continue to sing for peace. So Lakis is currently staying in Yang Hui's mansion to prepare for the next world tour. Lakis. Can I trust you? Lakis was stunned for a moment, but soon recovered, still maintaining a gentle smile, walked up and hugged Yang Hui. Well, of course. Lakis didn't know what happened, but with her IQ, she guessed something, so she didn't get angry at Yang Hui's sudden vigilance and distrust. Instead, she used her gentleness to soothe Yang Hui's tangled and complicated heart. At this time, Yang Hui's eyes were full of colorful light. The moment Lux hugged him, he entered the transformer mode and felt Lux's brain quantum waves. Fortunately, it was the real one. After confirming that Lux was not a fake, Yang Hui let go of the gun on his waist, hugged Lux tightly with his backhand, and felt the warmth of his lover. I'm sorry. It's okay, I believe you. Lux would not take the initiative to ask what happened. She knew that her identity was sensitive and she should not take the initiative to intervene in the core affairs of Orb. If it was something she should know, Yang Hui would take the initiative to tell her. At this time, the door of the room was pushed open, and Wang and Wang Liumei walked in with Malu and Bakalulu. Seeing the two people hugging each other, the four of them also breathed a sigh of relief. Yang Hui saw the four people coming, let go of Lakis, then walked up and hugged Malu and Bakalulu in his arms, feeling the warmth of the two and sucking the familiar fragrance. The big stone in his heart was also put down. Wang and Wang Liumei could take the two women home together, which meant that they were not fake, which also made Yang Hui relax. If it was fake, Yang Hui would still kill them mercilessly, killing the imposters who insulted his women, just like Malu, Shadow, and Bakalu, Shadow, of the Archangel. But apart from anger, is there really no other emotion? Of course not. Although they knew they were imposters, they had the same face after all, and could even be said to be clones. Unless one has a heart as hard as stone, who would not feel uncomfortable if he personally killed someone who is almost exactly like his lover? It was like really killing his lover with his own hands, and his heart was as painful as a knife. After letting go, Yang Hui told Malu, Bakalu and Lux about the current situation. Although Malu and Bakalu had heard about it from Wang and Wang Liumei once, they only talked about it briefly on the way here and did not know the specific situation. And now, they know how serious the situation is. What do you need me to do? Lux asked. Among the three of them, Malu was the chief technical officer and Bakalulu was a captain, so they couldn't help much. Only Lux could use her wisdom and connections to help Yang Hui solve problems. Malu, Nadal, your mission is the same as Simmons and Muse. Start by investigating the people around you and gradually radiate outward. No problem. Malu and Bakalulu accepted. After all, their circle of relationships with an orb was not large, so they could investigate it quickly. Lux, I hope that your concert tour will start in Plant. Okay, no problem, I will convey this to Speaker Durandal. Lux had already guessed Yang Hui's plan. The first stop was set in Plant, not only to show sincerity and let the people in Plant know that Yang Hui valued Plant, but also to let them know that although Lakis had left Plant, he still cared about his motherland. At the same time, Yang Hui and others had just returned from Plant. If they went there again, it would be too suspicious. The telegram sent from Earth to Plant would be easily intercepted, so Lakis's concert tour would be the safest means of transmitting intelligence. I will contact Mina and tell her about this matter. Let her send the 4th Fleet as your escort. Also, Wang, how is the training of Emilia's troops? Although Rina Emilia told him that the results were good, Yang Hui still hoped to get a positive answer from Wang. My evaluation is excellent. At the same time, Emilia, finish the training and escort Lakis's trip together with the 4th Fleet. Understood. Then next. As he said, Yang Hui looked out the window, his eyes full of ruthless light. Chapter 439, Simulated Solar Furnace Success. Kigali was missing, but Yang Hui did not abandon his other work. The task of finding Kigali was in the charge of Cruz, so he was waiting for Cruz's news and making preparations for both situations. On the one hand, if Kigali was rescued safely, he would give Logos a gift, and disclose some of the information about the librarian and Logos, and legitimately pull out all the secret research institutes and secret bases that had been found so far, as well as the elders of Logos, whose identities had been found, so that none of them could escape. On the other hand, if Kigali was not rescued safely, he would take the lead in holding a press conference to prevent Logos from turning the tables and using Kigali to destroy the interior of Orb. Director Simmons, how is the preparation of the Assault and Assault Nightwalker going? It's ready, and the new transmission system has been completed, but is it really okay to continue testing now? Erica Simmons said worriedly. The significance of the pseudo-solar furnace to Orb is too important, and even has a huge impact on the entire scientific community. Once the information of the pseudo-solar furnace is leaked now, Orb is likely to usher in the second war. Don't worry, I never thought of hiding it. Yang Hui waved his hand, indicating that there is no need to worry about the information of the pseudo-solar furnace. The research team of the pseudo-solar furnace has been screened. Fortunately, no one was found to be a photocopy, but it is normal. After all, since the establishment of this research team, everyone has been treated in a closed manner. Before the pseudo-solar furnace is completely announced to be completed, they can't even go home. How can they switch? After the pseudo-solar furnace is completed, Yang Hui has no intention of hiding it, because GN particles can be used in more than just military fields, but also civilian technology. After the GN particles are completed, he will let this research team continue to study, not only the extension of military research, but also civilian fields, such as the miniaturization of the pseudo-solar furnace, the storage efficiency of GN particles. Even Yang Hui will take the initiative to send part of the information of the pseudo-solar furnace to other forces through transactions, such as planned, the Republic of East Asia and other countries. Anyway, he is determined to win this world. The world is his, what is there to be afraid of? It would be better to let the forces that are already friendly with Orb work for them in advance. Okay, since you said so. Mew, Major Shubari, thank you for your help. Understood. The X2 body was ready. Mew and Morgan Shubari boarded the plane. Yang Hui and Erica Simmons also returned to the command center, waiting for the test to begin. Skip the first to third phases of testing and go directly to the fourth phase. Understood. The X2 Strike Gundam and Strike Gundam Nightwalker started up, and with the flying of orange light particles, the two Strike Gundams slowly took off, and then moved along the trajectory indicated by the system. The speed became faster and faster, and then turned into meteors, dragging orange tail flames. The pseudo-solar furnace is operating normally. Energy conduction is normal. GN particles are fully covered, normal. All systems of the body are normal, and it will soon reach the predetermined threshold. Director. Mew, Major Shubali, please reply if you hear me. Received, go ahead. X2 The output of the pseudo-solar furnace is about to reach the threshold. After reaching the threshold, the output will begin to decrease and return to the base. Understood. X2 The theoretical threshold is the highest output that Yang Hui can achieve at this stage of the pseudo-solar furnace. Once it is exceeded, it is easy for the engine to overload and cause an explosion. For safety reasons, it is enough to turn the theoretical threshold into reality. If it is higher, it will not only be dangerous but also unnecessary. After all, the current theoretical threshold is enough. Not to mention that Yang Hui has also prepared the Trans-AM system and the Twin Drive system. The output is not enough? Does Samhong know? One is not enough? Will it be enough to connect a few more in parallel? The twin in the Twin Drive system refers to two solar furnaces in parallel, but who stipulates that there can only be two? Reaching the threshold. Director. Success. What about the aircraft? All systems are normal, the pseudo-solar furnace remains stable and the output is reduced, the speed of the Assault and Assault Nightwalker has been reduced, and they are returning. Erica Simmons breathed a sigh of relief. Reaching the threshold is not dangerous. The danger is whether the output can be safely reduced after reaching the threshold, and whether the energy engine will go out of control after reaching the threshold. Fortunately, the pseudo-solar furnace remains stable and has not gone out of control. At the same time, Erica Simmons is excited, because the success of this test represents the overall success of the pseudo-solar furnace. Your Excellency the Commander-in-Chief, will you announce it? Erica Simmons relaxed and made a joke. No, you do it, Director Simmons. Yang Hui did not take the credit, and handed the right to Erica Simmons. His role in the entire research and development process was only to provide updates on the design drawings and the conduction system. From verifying the theory to manufacturing to various tests, Erica Simmons was the one who made the greatest contribution. And the declaration of victory should naturally be announced by her. Okay, thank you. You're welcome, this is what you deserve. Erica Simmons nodded, then faced everyone in the command center, faced all the burning eyes. Everyone, the pseudo-solar furnace project is a complete success. Oh. The next step is production and extended research. Everyone, our work is not yet completed. Give each of you 3 days off, and then come back to continue working overtime. No problem. And no one complained about the hard work. The pseudo-solar furnace was the result of the joint efforts of all of them. It was their child. As researchers, they were excited to make their children better and better. At the same time, the success of the pseudo-solar furnace and the emergence of GN particles will make them famous in history. Just for this opportunity, they will not complain about hardship or tiredness. In addition, considering the salary treatment in the world, Orb is the best in the world, and Aurora Society is the best in Orb. Their treatment is very high, and for such an important project as the pseudo-solar furnace, they also have generous bonuses to take, but no one dislikes too much money. Yang Hui, is there anything else to say? Erica Simmons naturally did not ignore Yang Hui's existence. Although she was the general manager, Yang Hui was the superior who handed this project to her. Erica Simmons, who had high emotional intelligence, would naturally not disrespect his superior. Dawn, Angelus, Liberty, Justice, and the Sword of Heaven have the highest priority, followed by the trump cards of each unit, and then the large-scale pseudo-solar furnace used by the warships, and then the popularization of ordinary troops and the extension of civilian fields. Understood? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 440 Dark Under the Lamp. After arranging the work of the research team, Yang Hui said a few words to Mew and Morgan Shubury after they got off the plane, and then he left the Dawn Society. He no longer needed to keep an eye on the subsequent research. He believed that Erica Simmons and the members of the research team would definitely be able to build the system of the pseudo-solar furnace. How is it? Yang Hui went directly to the office of the intelligence department to find Cruz, who was incarnated as Vital, to ask whether he had found any traces of Kigali, and how many rats had sneaked into Orb. The situation is not serious. The investigations of various departments have been completed halfway, and only a few have been caught, and these people are not what I am worried about. Cruz reported to Yang Hui, as long as the high-level departments of Dawn Society and Heavenly Pillar are clean, no valuable intelligence can be obtained, and it is impossible to cause fatal damage to Orb. All the policies of Orb are not hidden, they are all exposed, and everyone knows them, so no valuable intelligence can be obtained. Major military operations are discussed privately by Yang Hui, Wang, Cruz and others, and orders are issued directly after confirmation, so it is impossible to be inquired in advance. The only ones that can cause a major blow to Orb are the Aurora Society and Heavenly Pillars. One is the most important research institution, and the other is the headquarters of the Space Army. No matter which one is destroyed or leaks information, it will affect the development of Orb. But it is not the entire Aurora Society and Heavenly Pillars, but the high-level departments, such as the Confidential Project Research Department of Aurora Society and the core area of Heavenly Pillars. Compared with Aurora Society, Heavenly Pillars is more reassuring, because Heavenly Pillars is the headquarters of the Orb Space Army, and it is impossible for outsiders to sneak in, and important members will not be left alone, so the photocopiers will not find an opportunity to switch. The Aurora Society has already conducted a self-examination and found a few imposters, but they are all peripheral members, and there is no problem with the core members. It was because of carelessness before that I didn't expect, logos, to let the librarians send photocopiers to infiltrate orb. Now that the vigilance has been increased, they will not let them succeed again, so it is only a matter of time to clean up the inside. The most important thing now is to find Kigali. Even if it's just a corpse, it's very likely to be used by the enemy. Are there any clues? No, it's a master. Crews opened the holographic map of orb and reported to Yang Hui one by one, but the scope has been narrowed down. These green areas have been searched and can be ruled out. The remaining areas, the yellow areas, are suspicious, but according to the analysis of traffic, people flow, life, etc., the possibility is small, so for the time being, we just fenced off these areas and haven't sent anyone to search them. And these areas? Cruz looked at the 3 red areas. His expression became complicated, because these 3 areas, in theory, are the easiest to be discovered. One is the mansion of Asha's family, one is the residential area of senior government officials, and the last one is Yang Hui's mansion. My home can be ruled out. I used the transformer mode at home before, and the brain quantum wave did not find anything unusual. Under normal circumstances, how big is the detection range of your brain quantum wave? 2 kilometers. With the assistance of the original GN particles, I can detect as far as the GN particles spread. Then it can indeed be ruled out. Cruz turned Yang Hui's mansion into a green area. Within a 2-kilometer range, even if a secret room was secretly dug underground, it would be impossible to escape Yang Hui's detection, and the 2-kilometer underground project could not be hidden from Yang Hui and other people in the mansion. You said the means of shielding brain quantum waves? Cruz did not believe that such means existed. Brain quantum waves were a brand new concept in this world, and there were only a few people who knew about it except for the team members. This information could not be leaked, and even if it was leaked, it would be impossible to study it thoroughly in such a short time. Well, the residential area for senior government officials is in your hands. I'll go to the Asha family's mansion now. Okay. 2 of Cruz's 4 best teams followed Yang Hui to the Asha family's mansion. Although Cruz knew that Yang Hui's individual combat ability was off the charts, he was still cautious. Yang Hui couldn't get into trouble. Moreover, Yang Hui was the highest leader of Orb. He had to go into battle and kill the enemy in person for such a job? Are the Marines and guards trained just to eat dry food? Yang Hui came to the Asha family's mansion and was greeted by Kisaka. Since Kigali disappeared and Mana, Shadow, was arrested, the entire Asha family was in a panic. It was determined that Kisaka, the original body, had to stabilize the situation and block the news at the same time. Lord Yang Hui, what are you doing? Kisaka saw Yang Hui coming to the Asha family's mansion with a group of menacing people, and his heart skipped a beat, thinking that something had happened again. Vital suspects that there is something fishy going on. It is possible that Kigali is hiding in this mansion. I will bring people to investigate this. Kisaka wanted to say that it was impossible. He wanted to say that he knew this mansion very well and that Kigali could not be hidden here at all. However, he could not refute it. The passage that Mana, Shadow, used to help Kigali escape surveillance was a secret passage that he did not know about. At that time, he also wondered why there was a secret passage, but Mana, Shadow, said that it was dug by someone before Uzumiya as a means of escape in an emergency, so he did not doubt it. Now that I think about it, there is a problem. A big problem. Master Yang Hui, do you need me to gather the servants? Kisaka asked. Yes, gather them, and then take me to the center of the mansion. No one is allowed to approach. Understood. Although he did not know what Yang Hui was going to do, Kisaka still followed the order obediently, led a group of people to the center of the mansion, and then left. No one was allowed to approach, including him. Yang Hui asked his men to disperse, check the surroundings, and then disperse to be alert to the surroundings. Haha, it's really, nothing can be hidden. Yang Hui thought of the micro cameras he had found before. The number of cameras deployed by the enemy was twice that of his own people. It can be said that Kigali really has no secrets in the eyes of the enemy. Moreover, Yang Hui can be sure that these cameras were deployed after the reconstruction of Orb, and the same is true for the secret passage reported by Kisaka, because when Orb was rebuilt, Yang Hui conducted a comprehensive inspection of the Asha family's mansion, and there was no such thing. Closing his eyes, opening his eyes, Yang Hui entered the transformer mode again, and included everyone within 2 kilometers in his exploration range. Not only was he looking for Kigali's traces, but he was also investigating the servants of the Asha family. After all, most of the servants of the Asha family were old people, and Yang Hui knew most of them. But 2 seconds later, Yang Hui was stunned for a moment, with a look of surprise on his face. Someone come. Lord Yang Hui. Search the entire mansion immediately and find all the entrances to the secret passages. Chapter 441 The Traitors. Doctor, how is her condition? Fortunately, she is just very weak. It seems that she has not been tortured or abused. That's good. Looking at Mana lying on the bed, pale but breathing evenly, Yang Hui breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't find Kigali, but found Mana, who was thought to be in danger. This can be regarded as a surprise from heaven. After Yang Hui entered the transformer mode, he immediately sensed the familiar brain quantum waves. It was Mana's real body. This was something he didn't expect. And just as she and Cruz expected, it was in the basement of Asha's mansion. It was indeed dark under the lamp. The most dangerous place is the safest place. Then Yang Hui asked the team members to immediately start the search, and at the same time, several people were assigned to control all the servants in the mansion, because he sensed more than one familiar brain quantum wave. You don't know until you look for it. Once you look for it, you will be shocked. Asha's house can be divided into 2 parts, the upper and lower parts. The ground is a luxurious mansion, and the underground is a complex tunnel network. Moreover, the connection between each secret passage also uses double secret passages, which shows the painstaking efforts of the photocopier. In the underground, in addition to the special forces of Logos and Mana, a total of 4 people who were also in prison were found. They were all old people from the Asha mansion, and they were also the original bodies that were switched. Of course, Yang Hui knew very well that the Asha mansion must not be clean, especially the newcomers that Yang Hui did not know, and there were also external aids, otherwise the underground tunnel network of the Asha family could not have been built by these few people, and it had not attracted anyone's attention. The Asha family has found out, and found Mana and several other imprisoned servants. The scene underground is very exciting. Yang Hui answered Cruz's communication and said in a cold tone. I've started here too. Well, I'll leave the things here to Kisaka, and I'll go there too. Understood. After ending the communication, Yang Hui handed over the things here to Kisaka, and then took a car to the residential area of senior government officials to meet Cruz. When he arrived, Cruz had already searched many houses. Cruz's mandatory investigation caused dissatisfaction among many people. They protested to Cruz, but they could only swallow their anger when they saw the fully armed soldiers. When they saw Yang Hui coming, they thought someone had secretly contacted Yang Hui and asked Yang Hui to do justice for them. Lord Yang Hui, Mr. Vital is too much? He broke into our house without a search warrant, an arrest warrant, or anything. You have to do justice for us. Please order him to stop his rude and disrespectful behavior immediately, and withdraw from his post and put him on trial. Looking at this group of senior officials, Yang Hui's face also had a disdainful expression. Those who came forward to complain to him were all surviving noble officials of the older generation. If the younger generation had not been cultivated, Yang Hui would have wiped them out long ago. And they were really a group of idiots. Cruz's intelligence department had great power, but it was not so powerful that it could lead troops to search the residences of all senior officials without authorization. The officials that Yang Hui and his team had personally trained were not like this group of people. They stood aside and cooperated with Cruz's work. They could tell at a glance that Cruz's intelligence department had obtained Yang Hui's permission. But this group of people were self-righteous and didn't know it. They made a lot of noise that upset Yang Hui. Silence. With a cold shout, the chattering scene like a vegetable market disappeared, and everyone shut up and looked at Yang Hui. The intelligence department is hunting down important spies. Vital's actions were ordered by me. You just need to cooperate. This. Lord Yang Hui, this won't do. Yet, are you suspecting that we are hiding spies? This is treason. How could we dare? Aren't you afraid that we will be disappointed? If Lord Uzmi knew that you did this, he would definitely reprimand you. The official who brought up the deceased Uzmi to reprimand Yang Hui hadn't finished speaking when a loud slap hit his face. The huge force knocked him to the ground, and even a few teeth were spit out with blood foam. All this is for Orb. You only have this option to cooperate. What? Do you miss Lord Uzmi? Yang Hui leaned down and looked down at the official who was slapped. His eyes and tone were cold enough to freeze the soul. No, Lord Yang Hui. Really? If you miss him, Tell me earlier and I'll send you to meet him again. No, I dare not. Now, the old nobles woke up. After the fall of Orb, they left their homeland and dispersed in Papua New Guinea and the giant floating platform, each doing their own job, waiting for the rebirth of Orb, which was considered to be fulfilling their duties. But since the reconstruction of Orb, they all returned to their homeland, and then began to drift. They thought that they were the elders and one of the real top nobles in Orb. Except for the top nobles ranked below the 5 major families, they were almost cleared out by Yang Hui. They came to power naturally, and then they were gradually corrupted by status and power and became what they are now. They look down on the newly promoted young people, act arrogantly, and do a lot of small tricks in secret. That's you. Yang Hui was not familiar with the official lying on the ground. He was just a minor official. His family was only in the upper middle position after he came to power. He didn't know his name and was not interested in knowing it. Half of the family's property will be handed over, and all work will be suspended. Wait for the new person to take over. Master Yang Hui. You can't. Why not? Yang Hui tilted his head and asked him back. Because, or, you don't like this path? You prefer some evidence in front of you. No longer paying attention to the incoherent official with empty eyes, he knew that he was finished, and Yang Hui also showed mercy. Otherwise, he would not be able to keep the remaining half of his family property, and even his lower body would suffer the disaster of imprisonment. When Yang Hui stood up and looked around at the other people who tried to teach him how to do things, they all shuddered and retreated with their heads down. Working hard for Orb, and then retiring after success, I don't think you will like the price of being smart. Yes, Lord Yang Hui. Very good. After warning the group of people, Yang Hui did not waste any more time with them and found crews at the temporary command center. Haven't you found it yet? We found a clue. There is also a secret passage under Elma's house. We are currently exploring it. If nothing unexpected happens, Kigali should be hiding in the underground of this area. What about Elma? I am a traitor. I was caught and killed without any interrogation. I know. Chapter 442. No way to escape. Damn it. You bastards. You liars. In the comfortable room underground, Kigali's hands were bound by chains, and the other end was connected to the wall. She could sleep, eat, and walk back and forth, but she couldn't tear the sinister man sitting in front of her to pieces as Kigali thought. Miss Kigali, we didn't deceive you. We will help you overthrow the rule of the tyrant and help you regain the rights of Orb. This is also the cooperation you agreed to. That's because you lied to me. You said that Yang Hui was starting a war outside. And you also said that Yang Hui wanted to use Orb to rule the world. These are all lies. You lied to me. But you believed it, didn't you? This shows that you didn't trust Mr. Yang Hui in the first place, didn't you? I didn't. Kigali retreated step by step, and the sinister man stood up and approached Kigali step by step until Kigali retreated to the corner. No, you just don't trust Mr. Yang Hui. You never agreed with him. Everything in Orb should belong to you and to Kigali Urashua. It was him who took everything from you. He betrayed the ideals of Orb and Lord Uzmi. He was also the one who destroyed the pure blue universe. You. Kigali's eyes were getting more and more confused, but because of the last sentence, they regained their brightness, and anger burned in her chest. You are from Blue Cosmos. Oh, it seems that I let it slip. The gloomy man took 2 steps back and casually pretended to be exposed, but it doesn't matter, because this secret is only known by Miss Kigali, and Miss Kigali will not tell anyone. He is really not afraid. He is also a nobleman of some size in Orb, but he has always hidden his true identity. He became an undercover member of the Orb nobles with the support of Blue Cosmos, before the establishment of the United Emirates of Orb. He has not been exposed until now. Why are you not afraid of your identity being exposed? Because Kigali will soon be able to destroy Orb from within with their help, causing civil unrest in Orb, and then Kigali will stand up and apply for assistance from the Atlantic Federation in the name of the acting chief. The Atlantic Federation will lead troops to occupy Orb, and he can also stand in the sun. What? Kigali won't agree? What does it matter if she disagrees? Kigali, Shadow, is also Kigali, isn't she? As for the real Kigali, to be honest, he really doesn't understand why the people above don't allow him to hurt Kigali, and it's a strict order, so he has been feeding Kigali with good food and drink, and even holding back a certain flame that has been holding back. But it doesn't matter. When the plan succeeds, The real Kigali will be useless. At that time, he may be able to apply for it with his own merits. Tisk, tisk, just thinking about it makes him feel good. Due to the blockade of the news, he still doesn't know that Kigali, Shadow, was arrested at the beginning, and he is still dreaming that Kigali, Shadow, is a puppet in front of the stage and he is the uncrowned king behind the scenes. But soon, this dream woke up. Beep beep beep. What's the matter? Sir, we have been discovered. Orb's intelligence forces have begun to explore the tunnel. What's going on? Why were we discovered? The gloomy man's face became even gloomier. Their plan was perfect, and the photocopiers were perfect. They could definitely make the fake look real and impossible to be discovered. And their secret passage was under the feet of high-ranking officials and nobles. It was the safest location. How could it be discovered? Question mark. The specific situation is unknown, but more and more entrances have been discovered, and more armed personnel have entered to explore. What should we do? Well, execute the evacuation procedure, and then bury them all underground. Understood. A fierce expression flashed by, and then he let the guard outside the door come in, looking at Kigali with a smile. Let's go, Miss Kigali. It seems that the tyrant's methods are still very powerful. He can actually find this place. We have to move. I won't leave. I won't be manipulated by you bastards. Kigali was sober for a rare time. She knew that everything before was a conspiracy of Blue Cosmos, and the purpose was to use her to destroy Orb and to shake Yang Hui's prestige in Orb. The previous speech did move her. After all, in front of the power of the entire Orb, it was hard for a stubborn girl not to be moved. A little bit of false information to provoke her could convince her. But now she knew how stupid she was and why Yang Hui was monitoring her and not letting her get involved in any affairs of Orb. But it was too late now. There was no point in struggling hard. She was restrained by two strong men. The thin needle pierced her skin. It was unknown what drug was injected, but Kigali's consciousness became more and more blurred and she lost her strength. Let's go. Seeing that Kigali was controlled, the gloomy man waved his hand and led the people to evacuate from the secret passage. He was not in a hurry. He was full of mysterious confidence in everything. This tunnel network was very complicated, and their location was still far away from the exploration team, enough for them to evacuate leisurely and then destroy it all. The underground was destroyed, and the ground would naturally collapse. The ground was where high-ranking government officials lived. With such a big commotion and such a big loss, Yang Hui couldn't possibly block all the intelligence. This trouble would be enough to keep Yang Hui busy for a while, and he continued to hide in the dark and wait for an opportunity, waiting for the opportunity for his dream to come true. However, reality is always hard, and no matter how beautiful the dream is, there will be a day to wake up. Sir, something happened. What happened? All the exits are blocked. What? How is it possible? The gloomy man finally showed a panic expression on his face. There are more than 30 entrances and exits to the entire underground network, and they are quite scattered. How could they all be blocked in such a short time? Where is the emergency passage? How is that passage? The exploration team lost contact. Damn it. Sir, what should we do now? Bang 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 bang. Time is limited. Before they can get out of shock and panic and think of a safe evacuation route, they hear gunshots getting closer and closer to them, and some people are shouting found it, just in front, Miss Kigali is found. Stop them. Yes. The armed personnel around him were all death warriors trained by Blue Cosmos. They would not be afraid of death at this time. They would immediately execute them if they were asked to die. But he did not walk far before gunshots were heard in the road ahead. He was about to turn around, but found that the sounds of fighting around him were getting closer and closer. He had no way to escape. Chapter 443, Seeing the Light of Day Again. I was really wrong. This is. I'm saved. Kigali, lying on the bed, opened her eyes tremblingly, looking at the familiar yet strange ceiling, and feeling the warmth of the sun. Kigali knew that she must be saved. How does it feel to be kidnapped? The familiar voice woke Kigali up from her daze, and she turned her head to see Yang Hui sitting on a chair beside the bed, crossing his legs, processing documents with his pad intently. Yang Hui. Was it you who saved me? If you want to thank me, then say no. Woo woo woo. Hearing this, Kigali didn't know where she got the strength from, and suddenly burst into tears. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, I know I was wrong, I really know I was wrong. Oh. After processing the last document, Yang Hui put away the pad and looked at Kigali helplessly. He knew that this girl's imagination was online again. The people you should really thank are Vital and his intelligence department. This time, they have been looking for you everywhere day and night to save you. If you want to apologize, you should tell Mana and Kisaka that because of your disappearance, they almost got into danger. Woo 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 woo, I know, I will tell them. That's it. Yang Hui. I really know I was wrong. Seeing that Yang Hui still got up and left nonchalantly, Kigali suddenly propped herself up and shouted. She really knew she was wrong, and she was really scared. She had already lost her father, and this time she almost lost Mana and Kisaka, and even almost lost herself. She felt uneasy about everything around her. She was afraid that she really had no place in Yang Hui's heart. Yang Hui paused for a moment, and did not look back. He just waved his hand with his back to Kigali and left the ward. He did not want to say sentimental words. Kigali always had a place in his heart. She was always the sister who needed to be worried about. Even if he put her under house arrest and monitored her, he would not give up on her completely. But Kigali did not think so. She thought Yang Hui had completely given up on her, and she cried helplessly with her knees hugged. Not long after, the door of the ward was opened again. Kigali raised her lifeless eyes and looked over. Aslan and Kira came together and were shocked by Kigali's appearance. Kigali. Are you okay? Are you injured? It's okay. I'm fine. Kigali still hugged her knees and sobbed, answering Kira and Aslan weakly. You don't look like you're okay. Can you tell us what happened? Kira comforted her softly. He and Kigali are twins. As the last family member, he is the most qualified to ask this question and the most qualified to be Kigali's listener. Kira? Woo woo woo. Yang Hui. Yang Hui doesn't want me anymore. X2 Kira and Aslan were stunned and looked at each other. They saw the mess in each other's eyes. Yang Hui and Kigali still have that kind of relationship? No, this shouldn't be asked. Should I ask if Yang Hui wanted you? Can you tell us what happened? Kira asked awkwardly. It's better to ask this question clearly before answering it, otherwise it will make a big joke. Then, Kigali kept crying and told Kira and Aslan what happened. As Kigali told this story, her crying became louder and louder. After listening to the whole process, Kira and Aslan were even more embarrassed. They also knew that Kigali was too stupid. Kigali, Yang Hui didn't abandon you. Kira explained to Kigali. Really? Seeing Kigali suddenly jump up from the bed and grab Kira's hand tightly, Kira and Aslan were shocked. At this moment, they saw light in Kigali's eyes. Yes. Kira stabilized his mentality, patted Kigali's hand, and asked her to calm down. Think about it, if Yang Hui completely gave up on you, would he be the first person you saw when you woke up? Yes. Kigali was happy, and then angry. Then why didn't he say it? Aslan covered his face on the side. You and Yang Hui grew up together. Don't you know what kind of person Yang Hui is? He may be very busy. So busy that he doesn't even have time to say a word. Kira and Aslan really understood Yang Hui at this moment. Kigali was really a headache sometimes. She was so obviously evading responsibility and letting you experience it yourself, but she still wanted to get to the bottom of it. There was no other way. Aslan could only sigh and explain for Kigali, otherwise he and Kira would probably not be able to leave the ward today. Yang Hui is the most sentimental person. You are Yang Hui's family and his sister. How could he give up on you? Although his methods and words towards you are relatively harsh, they are all for your own good. He is teaching you, taking care of you, and protecting you. Kigali, do you understand? Who is your sister? That's fine. It seems that she listened to it. As long as her spirit is restored, it's fine. Anyway, they don't have anything else to do today, so they might as well stay and accompany her. On the other side, Yang Hui took a car to the interrogation room of the intelligence department. The death squad could not get any information, and the photocopier could not get any information either. However, the leader was neither a death squad nor a photocopier, but an ambitious man. He looked thin and hunched, and he did not look like a tough guy. He might be able to get some very important information. And this is a good reason. How is it? I have confessed, and I haven't even used up the first one. At this time, in the office, Cruz took off his mask and handed the results of the interrogation to Yang Hui, with a regretful and unsatisfied expression on his face. It was probably because of his abnormal psychology that he was full of interest in using the 10 tortures in East Asia recommended by Yang Hui. He looked at the interrogation report silently, without any fluctuations in his expression. After reading it, he returned it to Cruz. Those that should be cleaned up and those that should be left behind, you can decide for yourself. Spies are very useful chess pieces, not only for our own people, but also for the enemy. Spies that have been exposed will not pose any threat, and leaving some suitable spies behind can also be used to pass on the information that we want the enemy to know to the enemy. I've been waiting for you to say this. Then let's do this. Except for the leader, the captured copiers and spies will be executed in secret. No revenge? This is not like the you I know. Of course, but not now. The destruction of Julius 7 will be carried out in a week. A press conference will be held tomorrow, and I have to go to Heaven's Pillar, on standby. Understood. I'll be waiting for your good news on Earth. Well, but not taking revenge now does not mean not making preparations. I will inform Wong and let her make a plan. Haha, then the Atlantic Federation will lose another piece of meat. Chapter 444, Mighty. As the press conference was held, the whole world was in an uproar. When they learned that Julius 7 would fall to the earth in a few years due to the pull of gravity, everyone was panicked, followed by anger and hatred, and used Plant and the Adjuster as an outlet to vent their negative emotions. Then they learned that Yang Hui had reached an agreement with Plant on behalf of Orb, and that for the safety of the Earth, Orb and Plant would jointly dispatch a large force to carry out a destruction operation on Julius 7 in a week, which made the panic of people all over the world subside, followed by praise and gratitude. Especially the natural people pretended to be high and mighty and praised the Adjuster as being reasonable, completely forgetting that they had cursed Plant and the Adjuster just a few minutes ago. As for the top leaders of the major forces, on the one hand, they were fortunate, especially the forces on Earth, because the wreckage of Julius 7 was too huge, and once it fell on the Earth, the result would be devastating. On the other hand, they were very unhappy with the decision of Orb and Yang Hui, and they did not have a part in this feat that was worthy of being written into the history textbooks. The most uncomfortable ones were the Atlantic Federation, Blue Cosmos, and Logos. Originally, they thought they could take this opportunity to disgust Plant and the Adjuster, and at the same time, they could send troops to join the Orb fleet to restore the reputation of the Atlantic Federation among the people. But now, asking them to fight side by side with the Adjuster would make them feel sick even if they had a purpose, and the whole world was moving. If they didn't move, their already bad reputation would become even worse. So in the end, more than half of the forces in the world sent applications to Orb after the press conference, applying to jointly carry out the destruction of Julius 7. Especially since the top forces had set an example by going out. Anyone who dared to pretend to be dead at this time would probably be sprayed as a real dead person by the people. However, their application to send a large fleet was rejected by Yang Hui, on the grounds that the Orb fleet and the Zaft fleet were enough to complete this operation, and after many negotiations, the complete deployment had been completed long ago. If too many fleets were temporarily added, the deployment would be completely disrupted, or the destruction of Julius 7 would be postponed indefinitely. That's right, it's indefinite. Apart from anything else, who will be the commander-in-chief of this operation is enough to argue for a while, and it will definitely fall on Yang Hui's head in the end, but there will definitely be various unpleasant things during this period, such as the arrogant Atlantic Federation will definitely compete for this title. Then, there are conflicts between each other. If multiple forces are mixed together, they may fight because of quarrels. Before the destruction of Julius 7 is completed, the parties may be restrained, but after it is completed, it's hard to say. Therefore, in order to ensure the success of the destruction of Julius 7, Yang Hui did not agree to other forces to send a large force to carry out together, but also agreed to each send a small number of troops and representative senior figures to participate in it, so as to mix face and not lose face in this incident. At first, those who received this reply sneered, especially the Atlantic Federation. Even if you say so, what if we don't comply? I won't answer you now. When the operation starts, I will send the fleet directly. What can you do? Drive away? Do you still want a reputation? But then, Yang Hui sent a notice to the world. In order to ensure the success of the Julius 7 destruction operation and to prevent some people from taking advantage of the situation, all troops that came without prior notice would be regarded as enemies that interfered with the entire operation. Then he attached a comprehensive and detailed list of reasons, leaving everyone speechless. Horizontal ellipsis. Bang. Damn Yang Hui. In the manor inside the Atlantic Federation, several people dressed in formal attire and pretending to be elegant gathered together. One of the old men threw the glass in his hand to the ground and broke it, and the wine in it soaked the carpet. Can't we just kill him? Orb's infiltration plan also failed. Is our safety safe? Probably not. Although that person is the executor of the plan, he only has a single line of contact with his superior and doesn't know about our existence. That's good. We still can't let our guard down. Yang Hui is not a pushover. We have conducted so many internal cleanups, but we still can't get rid of all his people. Well, be prepared for both situations. No problem. Then everyone, what do you think of the destruction of Julius 7, this time? At this time, the white-haired young man who had been standing there with his head down and not speaking spoke up. His tone was humble, but his fair and handsome face was painted with silver-white lipstick, giving people a kind of bewitching temperament. A snake cannot swallow an elephant, Lotto Jibril. At this time, the eyes of the whole world are on it. Whoever dares to have a crooked mind will be the public enemy of the world. Excuse me. Lotto Jibril is a new member of Logos, and the new leader of Blue Cosmos. From his attitude, it can be seen that his status is the lowest among all the people present. However, Lotto Jibril was dismissive of the others present. He clearly had the power to control the entire world, but he was timid in doing things. If he used all his power, Ob and Yang Hui would not be a concern at all. That's what he meant. We can't be exposed now, before the experiment over there is completely completed. An old man said. He knew that everyone present had their own little tricks, but the more critical the period, the more they had to keep their footing and not act rashly. Once their recklessness affected that person's plan, everyone present would be counted as one, and death would be a luxury for them. I see. I understand. Even Lotto Jibril couldn't help but put away his little calculations after hearing these words, and didn't dare to have any thoughts. He really didn't dare to provoke that person, nor did he dare to disobey him. That's it, then. Keep an eye on the people below, don't mess around, and it's best to prepare for both situations to prevent that lunatic Yang Hui from attacking us. Understood. XN. After the press conference, Yang Hui went to Heaven's Pillar to meet up with Mina. Not only Yang Hui, but also Setsuna, Lyle, Tiria, Bakalulu, Aslan and others, except for crews who had to stay on Earth. All the special forces were dispatched for the first time. Do you have to make such a big fuss every time? Mina questioned Yang Hui. It's just the rational use of public opinion. It earned fame and eliminated the threat. At the same time, some people on one side took advantage of the incident to make a fuss. It's killing two birds with one stone. Why not make a big fuss? Anyway, it's not something shameful. Humph. Mina, your thinking hasn't completely changed yet. You are now the commander-in-chief of the Orb Space Army, not the former shadow god of war. You finally said something useful. Mina. Anything else? Tsungir is a disease and must be cured, I'm leaving first. Seeing that Mina was poked in a sensitive spot and drew her gun in exasperation, Yang Hui turned and ran, disappearing from Mina's side in a flash. He had no doubt that Mina really intended to feed him some peanuts. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.